Apparently,
As Mitch Hedberg asking is anything good happening after Shabbos?
I did a Mitch Hedberg shtick at Shabbos dinner. I told the tennis balls Pringles joke, and I told the escalator can never be broken joke, and that went over pretty well.
Nice.
In general, though, I was doing a lot of shtick, my own shtick even. It wasn't even like, it was just like random. It was good. So apparently, according to you, I met a Lamed Vavnik. This is according to you.
I mean, maybe since I outed him, he's no longer not public. But, you know, I learned something. I was thinking about what is the lesson that I learned, because sometimes you think I made a mistake,
Yeah.
right? Years later,
Yeah.
and I shouldn't have done this and I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And then, on the other hand, we're taught that everything is kind of meant to be.
Yeah.
So it's from that point of view, it's not a mistake. But on the other hand, perhaps it was meant to be for the sake of learning a lesson,
Yeah.
to be able to impart to someone else
Yeah.
or to yourself in another lifetime.
Well, the person that we're talking about, he himself tonight told me it's easy to make mistakes.
Especially when you're 14,
He said
and you don't know a good thing when you have it.
Yeah. I mean, listen, But like, dude, what I'm saying is, if he said that, then you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So for the folks at home, we're talking about a rabbi.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't say his name. We didn't ask permission.
Yeah.
I think he's a great man.
Yeah.
And when I was 14, I really wanted to go to yeshiva.
Yeah.
That was right at the time when I started reading about the Torah codes.
Mm-hmm.
I was super excited.
Mm-hmm.
And make a long story short, I ended up going to a yeshiva that was around the corner from my house. It was just there. It was there. It was there even before I was born.
Wow.
Okay. And I never knew.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that should have been something that that's like, anyway. So I went there, and I truly felt the comfortable isn't the word. I truly felt like I was in the presence of goodness.
Yeah.
True goodness.
Yeah.
When I was there. And even though the school itself was, in terms of like the religious Jewish community, it's for troubled kids.
Oh yeah.
Okay, like that's but even those kids, you know what I mean? Like I've been in public school my whole life, and I spent like most of my year at a Sheepshead Bay High School.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and there was like literally, like I nearly got stabbed several times and some other stuff too.
That's crazy.
All right. The first day I got there, as I'm walking into the school, this is Sheepshead Bay High School, not the yeshiva.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of dudes, a bunch of thugged out dudes, like hanging out there. Dudes who are way too old.
Yeah.
All right. And one of them was like wearing like big, thick ass pants, and he was very skinny.
Yeah.
He didn't need those pants; those were far too big.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And then he lifted up, and then as I was walking through with my big book bag full, a giant book bag, little tiny. I wasn't that tiny really, but compared to these guys, these were like full-grown adults with like mortgages and Social Security. And so one guy lifted up his shirt and showed me his gun. And this just keeps it right. So compared to those guys, this yeshiva felt like I felt like I was in, like everybody was a goody two shoes, But for the Jewish community, they're like, they're the bad boys.
So weird.
No, I'm just kidding. I mean, there was some kids who couldn't find the right fit for whatever one reason or another. Okay, and then they ended up in this school that was run by these angels.
Well, I think a school like that has to be run by those kind of people.
And it was.
Mm-hmm.
And me and my 14-year-old mind, I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that if you find something like that, if you find a place where you feel like you're a good fit, then that's not guaranteed to happen again.
What was What was the oldest age that they had over there at this school?
It was a high school, so it was like 18.
Oh, till 18. Okay. Why did you just leave? Why did you just up and leave?
I didn't just up and leave.
Okay.
I went to I don't know how I got, but I went to a Russian, religious Russian Jewish summer camp.
Yeah.
Which is called Camp Russian.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay. It was run by like Rabbi Mitzman.
I don't know who that is. Okay.
So it was a good camp.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody who was associated with the camp was associated with Sinai Academy, basically.
Mm.
Right? So basically, I had a nice time at the camp, and the people there, I guess they convinced me to go to Sinai. And my mom liked the idea because it's Russian kids, and a lot of them did pretty good. Like Sinai had a good reputation of turning out some kids who ended up like in Harvard and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So she thought it might be a good influence on me, and plus with Russian little did she know that basically it was just a Russian version of the school I was already in. So not only was I, it was far away. Yeah. Like it was in it was like on Bay Parkway. It was in Bay Ridge, basically. Right? I guess that's still considered Bensonhurst, but it was pretty close to Bay Ridge.
It's Bensonhurst.
Yeah, and I didn't like it. I mean, I probably wouldn't have liked anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? Culturally, it was not. Yeah. It wasn't right for me. I was already in the right place because the kids was mostly American kids. Yeah. All right, and whatever. You know what I mean? It was good, but that's not the main thing. The main thing is I should have stayed. I should have stayed with. I feel like. I should have stayed with Rabbi Davidowitz and Rabbi Moshe Rubin, but I should have stayed with them. There are other good people there too.
Yeah, he said that he said it multiple times in the short conversation that I had with him tonight. He said, I remember Frank was bright.
Obviously not that bright, because if I was bright, you know what? I didn't have wisdom.
He meant to, listen, he didn't say you didn't have the wisdom or not have wisdom. He just said you were bright in Torah, Stam. Like really bright. So, what kind of wisdom can you have at age 14? Like seriously.
No, I know. I'm just saying that's like I was lacking in wisdom, and so for the folks at home, if anybody's hearing this, let me tell you: don't get over ambitious. No. Don't get too adventurous. No. If you come to a place where you're a good fit, where things are going right, then stick with it as long as you can. Mm-hmm. Don't think you're going to move on to something.
Exactly.
Better. And there are people who tell you. Yeah. I've heard. You know where I heard this? I heard that actor David Duchovny.
Yeah, for sure.
Mulder, right? I can't remember a couple of years ago. He decided to. There was some interview where he said he decided to start a rock band and begin singing. Mm-hmm. And they asked him did you ever sing before? He goes, no, never. Totally. Yeah. This is totally new to me. Nothing. I'm not musically. They're like, so why are you doing it? He goes, because I want to make sure that I'm always involved in things that make me uncomfortable.
Yeah. Interesting.
Right.
Okay.
These, you gotta, you always have to push yourself. And I totally disagree.
Yeah.
Because you know why?
Why?
Because all the discomfort, God has a lot of discomfort planned for us. Mm-hmm. We don't need to add to it.
Yeah, we don't. It's called. Well, no, it says don't put yourself in a test. Don't willingly put yourself in a test. That's what it says.
Right.
So no, but there's a difference between willingly putting yourself in the test and just kind of like going. How should I put this? Like, for example, like if you're good at something, but you're just you're afraid to pull, let's say, the trigger for one reason or another, because in order for you to take yourself to the next level of you being, of whatever it is that you're already good at, you have to go beyond, so to speak. What I mean by comfort zone, it just means like stop being a lazy you-know-what. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference between that and just like going into something you don't know what the hell is flying, right? Like, for example, today I was talking to this rabbi today, and I mentioned I want to go to law school. And I guess the thing is, he never, the rabbi's a very bright guy, but he didn't go to college. So I guess he got it into his head that like, because he's hearing because he has all these students, he does kiruv, right? So he has all these people who are college students. So he got it into his head that like law school is the same as college, where it's like, the first 2 years of college, you're just doing a rewind of high school, just to get prerequisites, and then finally, junior year you get you start with your major, maybe. Well, like sophomore year maybe, but junior year for sure. So he got it into his head. It's like that. I'm like, no. I'm like, law school is law school. Like you learn law from day one, because it's a graduate program. It's a JD, right? And he's like, yeah, but I know guys in law school, and they're also like, it's a lot of study, it's a lot of this. I'm like, I know it's a lot of study, but like, the question is, if you like something, then you don't care. If you're not sitting there annoyed that you have to take calculus again, or something again that you took in high school, then it's fine. Like the only thing that remains to be seen is if I actually do dafka like it, yeah, that's really the only thing. And if I'll be remotely proficient at learning it and then doing it. It could be that I think that I want to be a lawyer, and then I'll step in, and then my first semester I'll just be like, you know what, screw this. You know what I mean? It could very well happen like that, and if it does, I'm fine with that. As long as I decide one way or the other, sooner than later. As long as I don't waste 2 years and then I'm like, oh, screw this, That's not going to happen. But I have to try, you know what I mean? Because I feel like something is pulling, like I literally feel like something is pulling me. I have no desire to sit in a classroom, but I feel like something's pulling me towards this weird profession that is full of crazy people. Lawyers are crazy. No offense to
I don't
anybody.
know. It's almost like it sounds like you're getting pulled into the event horizon of a black hole.
No, it's funny. Like nobody's, it's funny. Like my parents have been over the years just mentioning it, but not. They haven't. They never like. In Russian say, "Они не наезжали на меня." Some parents наезжают. Come on, иди в law school, иди в doc. They weren't like forcing me, or they weren't like badgering me about it. Every once in a while, they only mention it when I mention it, and then they finally say, like my mother will say, "Перестань уже говорить про это и делай." If you're gonna keep talking about it, just already go and do it. Stop wasting time.
Right.
That's really the only thing. But I don't know. Just like I find myself, especially since I started my business, in these situations. I had a lawsuit with somebody, and I learned that I could probably do a better job than the lawyer that we had. Right now I'm selling an apartment. I learned that I may do as good of a job, as the lawyer that I have. Maybe not as the lawyer that the buyer has. The lawyer the buyer has has been in the business for like 50 years with some old, very anal guy, which is good if you're a lawyer. Very in Russian we say zanuda, like nudnik. I don't know. I'm just like finding that there's certain elements and certain components to this whole thing that I can be halfway decent at. It's just a matter of getting certification
when it comes down
certification to
there's
do
no
it.
Listen, there's no question that you can like become a lawyer and learn all that dry, boring, awful
Yeah.
and do it. That's not the question.
Some of it's not that
Nobody's
dry
doubting
and boring, but some of it is. Yeah.
The question is,
Yeah.
can you kiss butt?
Oh, I'm not gonna kiss
A lot.
anybody. I'm not gonna kiss anybody's butt. What
Okay,
I'm,
so you're not gonna.
no. What?
Listen. There are literally
Okay.
there are professions, right?
Okay.
Where basically you gotta be a scummy kind of dude to make it like big.
I don't
You know,
want
if
to.
you want to be like kind of like
Listen to me.
low to kind of low level,
No.
maybe you can do that without kissing ass.
I'm not here to make it big. I'm here because again, there's gonna be what to do. We know, you know what I'm talking about. This is like a mission based endeavor.
So you want to do like serious like international criminal law.
I mean, if you consider what we're talking about international criminal law,
How would you phrase it?
then I guess that's what that is. I mean, it's a combination of two types of things. It's on one aspect, it's just personal injury law, which I don't really want to. I hate that word, and I don't want to be considered a what's it called?
Okay, I see. I see
Ambulance chaser. But the other aspect, yeah, I mean, I guess it's whatever you
No, I
just
see.
said.
I misunderstood slightly.
Yeah.
What angle you were?
Yeah,
looking
man.
At.
Why? I have no other reason to do this. I'm serious. What, you think I want to do like some business law stuff for like I don't know, hawkers in the frum world or something or whatever? No.
Hawkers?
No, like hawkers are like sales. People who sell stuff. These like frum guys who sell things. Real estate, Amazon, all these like hawkers. They call them hawkers. They're hawking a Chainik,
Oh, okay. I didn't.
Yeah. That's not what I'm here to do, dude. Like, there's gonna be something that's.
You ever see this movie Art School Confidential?
I saw parts of it. I know what you're talking about. You mentioned it before.
I did, right? Okay, fine. I won't mention it again.
Oh, okay. Why?
No.
You can mention it. No. I just meant that you mentioned it. I remember you mentioning it. So if you want, you can mention it now. Like if it's related to.
It's I guess, somewhat related.
Okay.
There's this like made an impact on me. There's, it's obviously about art school, right? And obviously, a lot of the people in the art school are vapid and shallow and pseudo, like everything. You know what I mean? And there is real art, but these people are not really about real art. They're about making it as an artist, which is something else.
Yeah.
Creating beautiful art and something that's new and special, right? Different, original, unique, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And being a successful artist, quote-unquote successful, are two different things.
Yeah.
So I don't remember, the professors, one of the professors was John Malkovich, and he played one of these vapid guys, right?
Yeah.
Right? And then at some point they went to speak to this other artist who was a real artist.
Yeah.
And he wasn't part of the school, right? I don't remember the context. And so somebody introduced the protagonist of the story to this artist.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, oh, here's Eddie. I don't remember his name, but here's Eddie. He wants to be, he wants to be an artist. And he goes, oh, so Eddie, you want to be a successful artist? He goes, yeah. He goes, well, let me ask you something. Do you like to suck? See? I'm not going to.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? He goes, well, if you want to be a successful artist, you got to learn how to suck C.
Yeah.
Okay? Because all of them are C suckers. That's what they are.
Right.
That seems like something that's also true about law. I don't know why. I guess it could be all the movies I watched and all the lawyers I've ever
It could be
encountered.
true. It could be true about law, but every once in a while, I don't know.
I'm not saying it's impossible.
Yeah, every once in a while you get. So first of all, you get certain people that transcend all that crap. Obviously, they don't make bazillions of dollars. They do okay. Still, they're not in the poorhouse. No one is really. Like, I never met a poor lawyer. I met lawyers who are not making bazillions. They're still doing okay. I literally never met a poor lawyer in my life. Ever. I met a lawyer who's not working as a lawyer. But as far as the lawyers that I've met who are working as lawyers, not one of them is poor. Not one. And some of them went to like mediocre schools. Some of them went to like, what my mom would call Vanuccia schools. Stinking schools.
I've met a poor lawyer. One poor lawyer. He was working as a barista at Starbucks.
But again, he wasn't working as a lawyer.
Right, no, he wasn't working as a lawyer. I'm just not... Yeah. It's not clear why he couldn't work as a lawyer. Yeah. He had worked as a lawyer, and then all of a sudden... Anyway.
It sounds like... So, Can I quote to you one of my favorite philosophers?
Sure.
Real quick. His name is Miles Davis. You know Miles Davis, right?
Sure, the trumpet player.
Trumpet player, yeah. He had a few quotes about the same topic. First quote: "Do not fear mistakes; there are none." Second quote: "In improvisation, there are no mistakes." Third quote: "In Europe, they like everything you do. The mistakes and everything. That's a little bit too much." And then it says, this is just iteration. Don't be afraid of mistakes. There are none. What does it mean? There are no mistakes. I mean, clearly.
I'm thinking. I don't know. Because I know for a fact there certainly are mistakes.
Yeah, but he's basically saying this non-Jewish, semi-wise black man is basically saying that like apparently everything is, even if you make quote unquote a mistake, it's all hashgacha pratis anyway, and if you're improvising, you can so to speak right the ship. You always come back to the main, the main riff, as it were.
I mean, maybe that's what he meant, but the more I think about Miles Davis, right?
Yeah.
The more I think that he was there at the beginning of this whole. He was definitely part of the whole like white liberal, black man can do no wrong.
Maybe. I don't know.
Think. So that could have been his experience.
Dude, he suffered he suffered a lot. I mean, in the beginning, in the 50s and 60s?
I'm talking about, maybe. I'm just talking about, like, I can imagine that at a certain point in his career, right?
In the 80s, black man could do no wrong. In the 80s, he was already...
No. With the liberals, this started way back. Late 50s, early 60s.
If you're talking about just the beatniks, yeah, but the majority of society...
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, what I mean is, like, the media did not start liking him until the 80s. That's all I'm saying.
No, but the media, we're not talking about the media. I'm just saying that, like, for instance, like, I don't know, like Jimi Hendrix, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Like, he literally, like, he just went, he never... I mean, he had a tragic ending. Yeah. Right? But had that not happened, he would have... That's an example of like, he can't do no wrong. You understand?
Yeah, of course.
So, and Miles Davis was kind of like a similar type dude in his circles. Yeah. Like, in those, like, in those circles. I guess, like, New York, like, beatnik circles.
Yeah.
And certain people, they just had this... It was a real cult of personality.
Yeah.
And I think that he was, I mean, I could be mistaken, but I think he was a high-level personality in this cult of personality.
He was high-level personality, but he was, I mean...
He literally invented cool.
He was, but he was supremely talented. If you listen to his album called Bitches...
I listened to some of his work, but I'm saying, like, this whole
Bitches Brew, he pushed...
The of cool, this whole...
Yeah, but dude, the guy pushed the envelope in terms of like jazz. He pushed the envelope.
I'm diminishing any of his jazz accomplishments.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, this kind of environment that he was in, that may have shaped that statement. That you just the kind of I get that sense.
I think he fomented the environment. I don't think he was the one that he made that environment. He that's what I'm trying to say. He wasn't. I mean, you could say the white people around who created that whole movement, but like, dude, he he created the environment. He's a fermenter of original environment and original everything. Like nobody, he didn't copy anybody. He wasn't like people were influenced by him. He didn't influence that. He was not influenced by anybody else, and people were influenced by him. He was an influencer. Before there was Instagram,
well, I mean,
there was Miles Davis.
Nobody's really goes through life without being influenced.
No, for sure, he was influenced by the jazz men back in the day. But like I'm saying, like in terms of, again, if you listen to his stuff, it's like it doesn't. There's no one before him that played that kind of stuff. Let's put it that way.
So, unfortunately, whenever I think of Miles Davis, and this is not my fault at all, I think of Billy Madison.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember.
In what sense?
Remember, I don't know how well you know the movie, but they went on a school trip to Virginia, something like Williamsburg, Virginia. Like colonial Williamsburg, like one of those right, how people lived in the 1700s, right? Right, and then his friend, and this is like the third grade, right, and this is where that's that class where he falls in love with that beautiful teacher, right?
Yeah.
So they're on this trip, and his friend, one of the little kids, right, Ernie, he pees himself.
Yeah.
And he sees him standing there,
Oh,
facing
he starts
the wall,
peeing
and
himself
he's like,
along
what's going on
with
there?
him.
Everybody's having fun.
Yeah, he
and
starts
he's like,
peeing himself.
What's going on, Ernie? He's like, I peed myself. He goes, right?
Yeah.
So then he had this idea. So he goes up to like a water fountain and he sprays water on his crotch.
Yeah.
Right? Billy, this is Adam Sandler does that to himself, right?
Yeah.
Because he goes, and then he's like, look, everybody, I pee my pants.
Yeah.
Pee in your pants is the coolest.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, one of the an old lady that works at the place, she's like, if peeing your pants is cool, consider me Miles Davis.
Oh yeah. That's hilarious.
So from now on, I will always.
That's hilarious.
Unfortunately, Miles Davis is associated with
Miles Davis is the pee in the pants of jazz. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a piece of pants. In the movie, I think the teacher thought it was like a sweet thing to do.
Yeah.
And it made her like hot for him or something.
Warm up to him a little.
Yes, no pun intended.
No, but she hated him right before that. You know why? Yeah. Because remember when they were trying to read? Yeah. Right? And she's like, "Okay, Eric, can you please read this?" And Eric couldn't read very well.
He starts yelling at him, making fun of him.
He's like, he couldn't sound out the word. Yeah. And then Adam Sandler's like, "Today, Junior."
Yeah. And after that line became like a thing for people to say. Today, Junior.
I know. No, and then she grabbed Adam Sandler. She pulled him out of the class by his ear. Yeah. And she's like, what's she's like, you're making fun of a little kid for not being. Do you not have a soul? Yeah. And then he's like, I was physically abused in the ear. He's like, that guy is an original. There's no one like Adam Sandler.
Yeah. Dude, but it goes to show if you want to impress a woman, just pretend like you peed your pants.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. I pee my pants. It's so hot. That's so hot. Yeah.
Conditioner is better.
Oh my God. Dear Lord. Dude, you know what I realized I was old this Shabbos? Because this rabbi invited, he's a kikkur of rabbis, so he had people, it's funny, like, he had people, like, Russian-speaking young people, but, like, some of them, I could have sworn, like, some of them were, like, 26, 27, but some of them were, like, turns out they're, like, 20, 21, 22. But they're pretty mature for their age, I guess you could say. But it's crazy because it's, like, none of them, they all asked me how old I am. I said 41. They're like, oh, really? What? They couldn't believe it. Like, they thought it was, like, tops 30, 31.
And that's what made you feel old?
No, what made me feel old... No. What made me feel old is the fact that, one of them is like, where are you from? And I was like, oh, all over the place. And one of the things I said was Ukraine. And this girl goes, oh, that's so cool. My parents are from, like, Kharkov. And I literally blurred out, I'm like, what's cool about it? Like, because I'm like, I'm so used to the fact that everyone like around. I mean, besides you maybe, but like all the people that I know who are Russian speakers our age were born in Ukraine. So like, what's
and obviously you upset the poor girl.
No, I didn't upset her. She was just kind of like, "What?" And I'm like, "Oh, and then I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Like, I literally keep forgetting that like this new generation of people, like your age, or my sister's age, everybody was born in America. And I just keep forgetting that, first of all, and then second of all, like, you guys are mad young. You guys are at least 15 to 20 years younger than me. And but given that, she actually spoke really good Russian because her parents forced her to speak Russian.
Dude, you know what? You know what I realized right now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know how like youth is wasted on the young?
Yeah, it is.
It's also wasted on the old, apparently.
It is. It is.
Because you look young, you were given that, and you still want to act like an old.
No, I don't want to act. No, that's the thing. I don't. And it was actually funny because at the table, at one point, one of the guys, he's like, "You don't." He's like, "How do you still have?" He actually literally asked me. He's like, "Oh man, but how do you still have all your hair, man?" This guy was like 20, this like kind of mature Gorsky guy, Kavkazi guy.
Yeah.
And I go to him. I'm like, no. He's like, "How do you keep? How is your skin like?" Not 41. I'm like, it's called immaturity. So I'm not trying to be old, man. You see, like, just keeping it.
You know what it's called? It's called stay out of Russian environments.
Yes, yes. And the thing is,
stay out of Russian restaurants.
Exactly.
Which means, here's what that means.
Exactly.
Here's what that means.
Oh my god.
Here's what that means.
Okay.
Or stay away from Russians who are, just anything.
Well, why do you think I made Aliyah, man? But then I came back, and then,
No, but if you stay away from Russian environments, here's what you're staying away from.
Okay.
Constant cigarette smoke.
Yeah.
Constant vodka. Salty food.
But my parents are not like
nonstop.
that. My parents are not like that.
I'm not talking about your parents. I'm not talking about my parents either.
Okay.
When I was living in Brooklyn, you're hanging out with your buddies. You're literally drinking like hell every night, smoking like crazy.
Yeah.
You're making horrible decisions with women. Okay.
Yeah.
You're staying up all night. You're not being nice to you're not doing well by your body. Let's put it that way.
But the thing is, I did all that in my 20s, not being around Russians, man. I was like a DJ, and I did outlandish stuff for like years, man. So like, why did Hashem preserve me, bro? Baruch Hashem.
The nightclub culture is different than Russian restaurant culture.
I know.
A lot different.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, it's hard to believe I'm saying this, but even that is healthier than Russian restaurant culture.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, the most thing is, first of all, you're like dancing all night,
Yeah.
You're probably like, let's say out of like 10 times you go to a Russian restaurant, you're gonna get into a fight like 4.
Yeah.
With nightclubs, maybe once.
If that.
Or maybe one out of 50, or maybe never. Some guys have never.
Yeah. That's true.
You're generally dealing with more mellow people.
Yeah, that's true.
You're not dealing with like competitiveness, by the way.
Yeah,
unless you go into like Sound Factory and you're one of these like juice heads.
Guidos, and even then it's like, okay, whatever. Kind of ignore them.
Right. They're just kind of like, they seem to be moshing.
They're just like they're like an ornament over there. They're kind of like this. It's like they're like a prop. It's just like a prop that's part of the it's like a Christmas tree.
Right, so I mean, people are generally a little bit more mellow, and if you end up doing drugs, they're not gonna make you eat too much. They're gonna make you eat less, if anything.
Yeah.
So on a certain way, you could be, maybe it's a good diet plan to go become a nightclub druggie, but maybe not. I don't know.
Listen, at the end of the day, Baruch Hashem, my dad looks younger. Even now, even after the stroke, he looks younger. He always looked younger than his age. My mom also did. My grandmother, my mom's mom, people call her интересная женщина, and she always looked younger than her age. Whatever, genetics, Baruch Hashem, thank God, And also, listen, the whole thing of not being married also kind of I guess you can use the word helps in that respect. Yeah, listen, you know.
Just the aggravation.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, dude, I see people who are married, actually, with the exception of you, and you might find this statement surprising. I see people who are married who are like my age and even younger, and they look like I told you, they look like they were somebody's like a gremlin is next to them all night, punching them in the face. That's what they look like, and I'm just like, do I want this? I mean, I guess I do. I mean, I need to get married and have kids, I guess. I mean, I don't want to be punched in the face by gremlins, you know? But,
you know what I think it might be? I think, like, what part of marriage, and I'm thinking mostly like Russian-style marriage,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
What part of marriage is the most aging factor? Like, what part of it ages the most? And you know what I think it is?
No.
I think it's the socializing,
Yeah.
which leads to
Yeah.
the comparisons,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
leads
yeah.
to
Yes.
the
entitlement.
the entitlement and the ungratefulness.
Yep.
And and then what happens? Like how do you react? You have to become more ambitious.
Yeah. Not because you want to, just because this person is like demanding something out of you.
Right. So it's this constant. It's
a constant devaluing.
Yeah. That's what ages people the most.
If that happens.
So so folks, by the way, stop. If you're married, stop doing couples stuff. Stop it.
Yeah.
Eliminate this from your mind, from your heart. Yeah. This is a plague on society.
Yeah.
Men have their friends. Let them.
Yeah.
They can listen. It doesn't mean you have to let your husband go to Vegas or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, you can even supervise him. You can have his friends over, for cards or whatever.
Stop comparing your husband. Women would not like it. They would hate it. They not only hate it, they would be very, very hurt by it if the husbands compared them to other guys' wives in any facet. Like, I'm not even talking about looks. I'm talking about, like, if the wife does something, I don't know, around the house, or she's, whatever it is.
Or even looks.
Yeah, would they like it? No, they wouldn't. But yet they compare us to God. Why can't you wear what he's wearing? Why can't you do what he's doing? Why can't you look? He's washing this dishes. Why can't he's doing like this? And why can't? Dude, you married me. You didn't marry that motherfucker. Pardon my language. You want to marry him? Go marry him. Go divorce me. Go break up a marriage and go take that guy. It's that freaking simple.
And ladies, stop trying to get your husband to meet your friend's husband.
Oh my God. Yeah, what is this like? Like what are we, like 5?
Listen.
Husband play dates. The worst.
Look, listen. Yeah, even if you are right, even if the guy is the type of guy that we would be friends with, we get along, we have mutual interest.
Yeah.
We're not gonna like him because we don't like your friend.
We don't like your friend, and we don't like being paraded.
We don't even like you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Patrice. Thank you very much, Patrice O'Neill.
We love you, but we don't like you.
Yeah, exactly, Patrice O'Neill.
And we definitely don't like your friend, and we certainly don't love your friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's like we're not.
Guy is married to your friend who we don't like.
Yeah.
Now we're not gonna like that guy, and it has nothing to do with him as a person.
Dude, we're not balloons at the freaking Thanksgiving Day parade. That's what we're not. Don't parade us like balloons in front of everybody. By the way, that CBS.
Definitely not. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
By the way, the whole that we don't like you thing.
Yeah.
I got that from Patrice. That's Patrice.
I just told you. I said Patrice. Yeah.
Oh, you said that. I didn't hear it.
Yeah, I said. Thank you very much, Patrice O'Neill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
your man loves you.
Yeah.
He likes that part. He likes that you're beautiful. He likes that, but he don't like you.
No, I love his delivery. He's like, I love you, but I don't like you.
Right.
He's like, I don't like you.
Right. For us, for guys, like is harder than love.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's what I try to convey this to people. I when somebody asks me, like especially like a frum person, what are you looking for? I try to. I once said that I'm like I want to marry somebody that I like and respect as a human being. You know what I'm saying? Like you could meet somebody that you quote unquote care about and love, but you don't like you spend more than 10 minutes around them, and you're just like I don't like this person. Like I don't like their personality, but for some reason I whatever I care about them. I love them. I just don't like them. I don't respect them. And I want to be
the moment you say something like what you just said to like literally any person who is like a real person that lives in this world, they're immediately like rolling their eyes at you.
Yeah. Why? Why do they do that?
Why?
Yeah.
Because
they don't like their
like
their spouse or what?
Because in this one regard, you sound like a liberal.
But
Like,
it's not.
how come we don't all love each other? Why don't we all? Wouldn't it be better if we could fly rather than walk? Wouldn't life be easier? Like,
No, but it's not.
Of course,
it's not,
would be.
It's not. No, but it's not too much to ask, man. There are people who are married to people they respect and like. There are. It exists. It's not fantasy world.
What the hell are you talking about?
What?
What are you talking about? How could you even say that? Are you out of your mind? Who told you this? Who's lying to you?
It's not told. I saw it in front of my face.
You, Greg?
No, nobody's lying to me. My eyes don't lie to me. Okay. My lying eyes.
Dude,
you know the lying eyes you talk about?
Dude, your eyes are liars.
No, they're
okay,
not.
so is your heart.
Thank you, Mr. Fauci.
Your heart is a liar too.
No, the heart's a
Remember that?
No, the heart's a lonely
Hot
hunter.
Tub Time Machine?
The heart's a lonely hunter, and love is a battlefield. Okay. How's that,
No,
Mr.
wait, do you remember that scene in Hot Tub Time Machine?
No, I didn't. I didn't see the movie. I need to see it.
You never saw it?
No.
So I think I said this before, but I'll tell you again. So you have Rob Corddry, you know, he's like one of these funny guys, and he's sitting next to his friend, black dude. He was in a lot. He's also like one of these whatever.
Yeah.
And he goes, man, you gotta get away. He's saying this to his black friend. He goes, you gotta get away from that lady.
Yeah.
She's cheating on you. She's treating you. She made you take your last name.
Yeah.
She's treating you like that. He goes, you gotta get away. He goes. And then he goes, I can't, man, because my heart tells me I love you. He goes, your heart's a fucking liar.
That's really funny. Listen, man, I don't know.
And he made him laugh, so that was funny.
I think our generation is just like you said. You know, there's a lot of entitlement going on. There's a lot of entitlement going on. What else can be said? You know, like, dude, I remember like when I was engaged, and I went to a wedding of I guess a friend, like two friends, a couple, you know, a couple of my ex. And I remember, it was before the wedding, and the guy did this like elaborate proposal. It was like this whole elaborate thing, you know? It was this thing, that's the way he was, you know? That's the way he is. He comes up with these kind of like, they're kind of like a little on the Russian Brooklyn side of things, you know what I mean? Like these like Russian Brooklyn boyfriends, what they do for their girlfriends kind of thing. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Not sure.
No, it's like with the цветы, какие-то там, and like some other elaborate thing. It's like cute, but it's like this elaborate, weird thing that you would never ever think of, you know? And I remember like we went to their vort, you know? And then after the vort, we leave the vort and we get in the car.
Tell the folks at home what a vort is.
A vort is a what's it called? Is an engagement, like a l'chaim, an engagement party for, you know, by Jewish people. So we get in the car, and then she's just kind of like, you know, I'm sad. It makes me, I'm a little sad tonight. I'm like, why? She's like, I saw what so and so did for what's her name, and I'm like, she's like, it makes me sad that I know you would never do something like that for me. I'm like, first of all, not true. Second of all, I probably would do something, but not in my own style, not in the style of this guy. You know? And, everybody's got different ways of expressing how they feel about a person.
Such an unwise thing to say. Not you.
What?
Whoever said that
by
to you.
her or by me?
No, by her.
Yeah. Like, dude, I mean, this was at the time a 27, 28-year-old woman, professional, whatever, says that to me. And I'm like, and here I am, a few months before that, I just literally dropped my life in Israel. And again, I know women don't give a damn. What is it? What have you done for me lately? Shit, But like, dude, yep. in my head, I'm like, you MFer. Like, I just got back here 3 months ago. I dropped my dream. Dude, I was working what I was doing in Israel at the time, it was my dream. I was in the process of accomplishing my dream. Mamash. And I dropped it. I literally, it's like, imagine you have like an object in your hand, and you're like on the road with this object, and you just drop it in the middle of the road, and you turn around and you go back the other way. That's exactly what I did, just to go and come back to America and marry this woman. And I was sitting there, I didn't say anything, I was just like, how dare you, MF? Like, are you serious? Like, honestly? And that's when I realized, like, there are some, not all women, but there's some women that don't, just in general, there's some people that just don't give a damn. They really don't give a damn.
No, they actually think that they did you a big favor by letting you have a life with them.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, I guess, whatever, she was a attractive woman, whatever, it's like, have this, funny and smart, but like, I mean, what am I, freaking chopped liver? No. So I was like, yo, what is this crap? And I got upset. I got really upset. And the problem is, women do these things. What I didn't realize, I still maybe don't realize to this day, they do these things as poop tests, And I failed the poop test, obviously. On the one hand, I failed the poop test. On the other hand, it was, at the end of the day, it was messed up.
I don't understand this.
The poop test is women do the stuff to see if you're going to react.
Why is it called the poop test?
Shit test. It's a shit test. Okay? They're shit testing.
Why is it called the shit? I don't get it.
It's a shit test because they're testing your limits. Without even realizing they're doing it.
They're acting shitty to see how you react.
Yeah, to see if you're like, supposedly, allegedly, if you're like a man, then you don't react. Then you don't react emotionally. Then you don't get, you don't get, you don't get offended at their behavior. You don't, whatever it is. They want to see,
Ladies, if your moms taught you to do this kind of thing, your moms are dumb.
Sometimes women are not taught to do. Sometimes this is what they do naturally. Some women, not all. Sometimes they don't even know they're doing it. Sometimes they're just bored. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes they're taking cues from their stupid friends. In her case, this was the case. She was taking cues from her really, really obtuse. One friend who was obtuse, and the other friend who was like this, like, interrogating. Speaking of lawyers, interrogating little lawyer. Pocket-sized little dwarf,
Yeah.
Who interrogated me, just met me the first time, starts and said, I just came back from Israel. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Oh. Yo, I swear, I could have taken this person and physically thrown her out the window. Not that heavy, No, it's just like a tiny little, krot, Like a mole. Like a krot. Like a freaking lawyer krot. And I was just like...
Again, dude, you're going Patrice tonight.
I know. No, I was just like... No, at the time, I was like, I came back from Israel for this whole picture. Kartina, as we say in Russian. The stupid friend who's in the process of getting divorced and is dragging her friend, my fiance, down with her into that black hole of... I won't say the word.
Yeah.
And another one who's like interrogating me and making sure I pass some sort of muster. Что это, блядь? And then they're influencing her. They're like, они капают на голову. They're like droplets, on her head. Naive little
I remember one of my wife's friends
Yeah.
said to me, you should be grateful.
Yo.
You know, she's like looking at me. She goes, you should be, you know, like
flip out of here. Like
there's-
seriously.
you're not much, and for some reason she likes.
She
you know, like
she
that
said
kind
to you
of
that you're not much.
thing. She didn't use those words,
Yeah.
but the look on her face, and she's like,
Dude.
you know, like yeah, like seriously, I have to say the rest of this in Russian.
Yeah.
Я бы ее послал. Like, seriously, я мог ее взять и.
Yeah.
Since this is being recorded, you know, so you know what I mean. Like she's not friends, not because of me. By the way, I never said a word about this to my wife.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But this, she's not friends with this person really anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not really sure why, but that's probably good.
Yeah.
Because this is the type of person who will destroy a relationship.
Yeah.
Because just out of spite, I'm like,
out of jealousy.
because I thought myself, I'm gonna have to be dealing with this piece of shit.
Yeah.
You know, as part of the payment, not the payment, but as a result
part of the package. Package deal.
As part of the package, I was like, I don't know if I can handle that.
Nope.
Because like, this person is disgusting, and I'm always gonna be.
Same. Dude, I was like, dude, you understand something? I came back from Israel. This is like 2013. I'm gonna paint you a picture. And the thing is, my ex is astute because she used to say, "You're coming from a different place." What does that mean? She meant it figuratively and literally. I'm living in Jerusalem in Baka. 20-minute walk from the old city. Before that, I was living in Nachlot next to some Mekubal, Sephardi shul. Before that, I was in yeshiva. My life every day for that previous year and a half, was Hashkacha Pratis every day. Siyata D'Shmaya every day. You understand, right? You lived in Jerusalem for a little bit.
Well, when I was in Mayano.
You understand what I'm talking about. You understand the dynamic.
Absolutely.
You get it, right? So, not only that, I was at least, I wasn't a big ass tzaddik, but I was trying to stay out of, stay away from pritza stuff. As much as I'd go to bars and this, but I was staying away from stuff that I used to do in my 20s, right? So here I am. I moved back to New York to be with this woman. One of the first things we do, this is I moved back in October, so December rolls around. She's like, let's go to this thing called matzo ball. You know what this thing is? Hold on a second.
Matzo ball is.
Hold on.
Hold on a second. A Christmas party for Jews.
Hold on a second. Oh my God, I thought somebody was trying to get in. 1 second. What the heck? Hold on a second. That was my neighbor. Anyway, sorry about that. Matzo ball is a party for Jews, like a Hanukkah party, right?
Right.
And it's in the city, but you know who goes there? Singles.
Yeah.
So this girl is like, let's go to matzo ball with my friend and her at the time husband, who grew up frum but didn't really give a damn. The friend who kind of not really Baal Tshuva, whatever. And some other friends who are just all single, trying to pick each other up. And it's just you walk in, it's a big, what's that place called? It was downtown below Houston. Giant ass, I think it was called the Bank or something. It's just a giant room, and it's just it's just pritas everywhere. It's a city,
Yeah.
And I'm just I'm there wearing my kippah, There's a couple people here and there wearing their kippah. I'm just what is this? I'm why am I here? I'm with this girl. Why do we need to be here? This thing is for singles. Why am I was literally I don't know why. And I asked her, she's yeah, I thought it'd be fun, this, that. I'm thinking to myself, how did I get from Jerusalem and I don't know, working with people from Shomron, this kind of tamim environment, this like pure, this like kind of kadosh environment, sort of, to this. Like I started thinking, like, why did Hashem put me here? I don't understand. I didn't understand. Can you?
Another way of
Do you have an explanation?
Rephrasing that? Can I rephrase that?
Yeah.
Why did Hashem let me make this mistake?
Yeah. It's a sham. Because, dude, think about it. Like, after that, and then subsequently that whole thing, like I was engaged, there was a whole like wedding planning, and after that it didn't work out. And then what happened after that? I just got, and then I started my business in America. I was going to go back to Israel right away. But then I started my business. I got stuck in America. I started dating in America. As I'm dating in the frum world in America in my like mid-30s, people kept telling me, dude, like, this ain't for you. Israel's a place for you. And I just like stayed in America. Like I would visit Israel, and I was trying to date in Israel while I was there. But nothing was happening. Like I tried, and stuff didn't.
So that's your version of what I did in high school. By
maybe
Jerusalem, like you said, was a place of daily hashgacha prati.
Right? It's hashgacha prati, and it's where I fit in. Like I fit in, However I fit in, like with people like myself who also don't fit in anywhere besides there. You know what I mean?
And in Israel, where even the religious girls are all kind of sexy and beautiful.
Well, again, you're talking about FFB, the Bali Tshuva. I don't know. unless
I wasn't getting that specific. I was just saying.
Well, you need to, because again, there's a big difference. Well, listen, the girls that go to like, let's say, the girls in their 20s who go to like, let's say, a seminary, who are like Bali Tshuva, maybe you could meet. That's something else. But
dude, I was just talking about Israeli girls.
No, I hear. But dude, anyway, like, I literally was like, why? Like, I was just, forget about even like the whole thing of staying in America after that. But at just that time, I was just like, why? What? I was like, Hashem, did I do something wrong? I did everything, the past few years, I did everything you wanted. Meaning, everything you would have wanted. I went to yeshiva. I was trying to live some semblance of a, Torah life, Jewish life, proper life in Israel, in Jerusalem, I was like, started dating in the frum's framework. I literally was not doing anything wrong. And if anything, I was probably doing a few things right.
You know what you did wrong? I'm sure somewhere along the way you
I took bad advice.
You disregarded your intuition.
I know, I did. I took bad advice. Somebody gave me advice, and I took it. And my intuition said no, and I didn't listen to it. Not about the girl, but about America, Like, to be honest with you, man, looking back, had I been like every other guy that I knew who requested that the woman move for him,
yeah,
it might have turned out. Who knows? I don't know.
Actually, yeah. I mean, that's another thing. If you want to do things the Torah way,
yeah,
then it would seem that it should be the woman who leaves,
yeah,
and comes to stay with the man.
yeah.
Before Adam and Chava ate from the tree, what does it say? It says, therefore, the guy leaves, right, his parents to become one with his wife.
Yeah.
That means that he would leave his parents and go stay with her.
Yeah.
That was the original setup. But then after because she gave him some bad advice, the roles were flipped in a sense.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you went against the Torah, man.
Probably. And it's crazy because the person who gave me advice was a Mikubal.
Listen, can I read to you a story
Yeah.
by Rabbi Fatia.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, this guy.
Let me just find it because you'll see how this is a great example. A great example. Just a moment. One second. Yeah. All right. Here we go. Read you this amazing story. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is from, and you'll see why. You'll see why I'm bringing this up. So this is this book, Visions of the End of Days, a Kabbalistic view of the book of Daniel with a guide to dream interpretations by Rabbi Ariel Bar Sadok.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Chapter 2, the difference between dreams. Actually, it's chapter 2. This book is like kind of like 2 or 3 books in one. So this is like chapter 2 of the second section. Okay, anyway, whatever. So the difference between dreams originating from angels and dreams originating from demons. How do you tell the difference?
Crazy.
This is translated from Sefer Minhat Yehuda. That's Rabbi Fatia's commentary.
Very scary book. Don't
on
read
the
it.
Torah.
Don't
On the
recommend.
Torah, and this is his commentary on Parashat Miketz.
It's a scary book.
It's a scary book, but it's a commentary on the Torah. So, okay. All right. Here's a quote. And in the morning, his soul was agitated. That's from Berachot, Gemara, the volume of Talmud, which is called Berachot, which is the laws of blessings. Okay.
Yeah.
So this infers that his soul was not agitated in his dream as he slept, but only in the morning when he awoke and contemplated the meaning of his dream. Then he was deeply troubled from within. We find a similar case with regards to Nebuchadnezzar and his dream when it says in Daniel chapter 2 verse 1, it says, his soul was troubled and his sleep left him. For he was awakened from his sleep by his dream, and his soul was troubled within him. He could not return to sleep. Okay. This then is the way of the true dream that comes through an angel. One's soul is not troubled while one sleeps, when seeing the dream, only after one is awakened. The reason for this is that it is not God's desire to frighten a person or cause one trouble while he sleeps, right? Specifically to make one aware. It's specifically to make one aware of what the heavenly edicts have been made concerning oneself or others. This is so that one may make efforts to rectify their sins. If so, why then should one be bothered while one sleeps? In other words, if you sleep well, but then as you're waking up, you're disturbed by something that you remembered from your dream, that's probably from an angel to help you rectify your sins. Okay, so this is similar to prophecy, to the prophecy that Isaiah spoke to Hezekiah, king of Yehuda, that he, king of Yehuda, that he would die and not live. And that's written in the second book of Kings, chapter 20, verse 1. He says, our sages have said regarding that Hezekiah would die in this world and not live in the world to come. He asked Isaiah why. Isaiah answered, it is because you did not marry and beget children. Hezekiah responds, if so, let me marry your daughter. He said that to Isaiah. Isaiah says that it is too late for that. The edict has already been issued. And then Hezekiah says, Isaiah, son of Amos, silence your prophecy and leave. For I have received from the house of my father's father, King David, that even if a sword is dangling over a man's throat, he should never stop awaiting God's mercy. For if the edict has already been issued and there is no more hope, why then did God send you to me? You do have good news to tell me. End quote. Okay. Thus it is with a bad dream that is shown to a man through an angel. For were it not possible to nullify the edict by one's prayers, fasting, and charity, as well as one's repentance for what one has done, why then would the person be shown the dream at all? Right? This is what our sages have taught in Berachot, page 55, on the A side, regarding the verse, God has done this so that you will be in awe of him. That's from Kohelet, chapter 3, verse 14. That's Kohelet is Ecclesiastes. This refers to a bad dream, so that one will be. So again, to understand that verse in Ecclesiastes in Kohelet, again, the verse is this: God has done this so that you will be in awe of him. So this is in regard to a bad dream, so that one will be in awe of God. This being so, why should the dreamer be disturbed while he sleeps? Okay, fine. This then is the rule. The dream that comes through an angel will be neatly arranged. It will not be a mixture of conflicting matters. It also will not be fearful and terrorizing at the time of the dream. More than this, one will see oneself as if one were completely awake. It'll be very lucid, basically. If all these conditions have been met regarding a dream, know for sure that the dream is true and that it has come from an angel, and that this is a 1/60th portion of prophecy. That's from Berachot.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know this is very interesting, and there's this is like a little adventure we're taking here, but you'll see why I brought this up soon.
Yeah.
So however, the dream that comes through a demon has another way to it. The demon stands next to the person while he sleeps at night, and whispers in his ear frightening things and fragments of things from various subjects. Yeah. These things trouble the person's mind and make him afraid. His heart beats faster and he awakens because of the heightened fear. This has happened to me a million times. Yeah. These demons remain standing there at the person's side and rejoice and laugh at him, in that they were able to frighten him. When the person returns to sleep, they in turn bother the person all over again. They continually repeat this. No man will escape this until he repeats the bedtime Shema prayers. Okay, fine. So this is also another way. When the person is awakened, he should say, Tame, tame, varalak mekan. Right? Unclean one, be banished from here. Say this 3 times, then the demon will leave, and the person will rest securely. If one has an enemy, then he should say, Tame, tame, varalak mekan. Velek etzel, plani ben plani, which means unclean one, be banished from here and go to the home of so and bother him.
Speaking of which, is it okay if I pause you? I need to use the boys' room.
Sure, but I'm not sure how that's connected to what we're talking.
You're talking about Tuma, so. Yeah.
I see. All right. Yes.
I'll call you back in a few minutes. Sorry.
All right.
All right. So you were reading about the this situation.
I found the place that I was looking for.
Okay.
So I'm gonna skip some of what we were talking about and get closer to the point. Although that was very yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna do that. I knew you were gonna do like that.
No.
Why are you like this?
Why are you the way that you are? Dude, I love that time that you told me I was about to go on a date, and you're like, and another thing, just don't be you. I was like, what the hell? And you know what's funny? I was natural on that date, and the girl liked me. So, and she laughed all of my stupid crap.
You know what, Greg? You know what? Now you're trying to you're creating a straw man here.
It wasn't a straw man. I'm just saying.
I was doing shtick.
I know you were. It was just funny because I was in my.
I'm not abusive to Greg. Folks.
No, I was. Dude, I was so much in my head on the way to that date. I was so much in my head because of everything transpired before the date, as you know. So I was literally psyching myself in or out, or I don't know what I was doing. and then comes along you with your shtick, and I was like, oh, this is very helpful.
There you go.
And then not. So I was just like, thank you so much.
You know what? You know what? Let me read what I was going to read.
Okay, please.
All right. All right. Okay, so again, this is Rabbi Yehuda Fatia.
Potato.
Well, however you want to. I say Fatia, you say Fataya.
Potato, yeah.
Tomato,
Yes.
potato.
Yes.
In the month of Tammuz, in the year 5671, that's 1911, July 1911, after the afternoon Shabbat prayer, a young boy, age 11, was brought before me. He said that he could speak with Eliyahu Hanavi face to face. The boy was claiming that he spoke to Elijah the prophet face to face, and not just in a vision or with puzzles. Anytime that he wished to speak with Eliyahu, all he had to do was call him, and he would immediately come.
Yeah.
The only condition being that the boy had to be alone, with no one else there to see.
Yeah.
I said to him, enter this room and ask Eliyahu if he is truly Eliyahu the prophet. Meaning, this is the rabbi asking the boy to ask, this whoever it is that he's claiming to be Eliyahu, if he's really Eliyahu Hanavi. Following?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So the boy did this, and he answered me, I am truly Eliyahu. Why does Yehuda doubt me? Yehuda is the rabbi. Okay. It says here, I am Yehuda being spoken of. Okay. I said to the boy, this is none other than a demon whose name happens to be Eliyahu.
Yeah. Wow.
This is not Eliyahu the prophet.
That's crazy.
Yeah. You are being plagued by demons. Come, and I will recite the prayer against demons over you. Then will this Eliyahu flee from you. The child said to me that this is certainly Eliyahu the prophet, and that you can do whatever you wish, and we will see who will be the victor. Okay.
The heck?
So, yeah, that's what the boy said. After I prayed over the boy a number of times, he went into a private room to see whether Eliyahu would come. Eliyahu immediately came, as he had done in the past. I was truly surprised by this.
Yeah.
So I took the child and went to see Rabbi Shimon Agassi.
Agassi, yeah.
Agassi. Potato. Zecher Tzadik L'Bracha.
Yeah.
Who was then alive. So for him to examine the child.
Yeah.
After he examined him, Rabbi Agassi said that this was truly Eliyahu, the prophet, and not a demon.
Yeah.
I disagreed and told him that it was a demon.
That's crazy.
Okay. Can you imagine, Rabbi? Again, we both agreed that together we would all go after the Saturday evening prayers to see Rabbi Yaakov, the son of Rabbi Yosef Chaim, the Ben Ish Hai.
Wow, that's crazy.
Okay.
What access? It's amazing access. This is all in Iraq happening.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that he may examine him, right?
Yeah.
After he examined the boy in a number of ways, he too said for certain that this was Eliyahu Hanavi, Elijah the prophet of blessed memory.
Yeah.
I disagreed with both of them and nullified their proofs. Yeah. I requested of them to let me test the boy once more. Yeah. I said to the child that he should tell Eliyahu to translate to him the verse in Jeremiah, which is Ki Dina Temrun Leom Elohaya Deshemaya Ve'arka Le'avadu Yevadu Me'ara Umin Thought Shemaya Ele. Okay, translate that. Then you shall say to them, this is a translation actually. Then you shall say to them, the gods that have not made the heavens and the earth, they shall perish from the earth and from under these heavens. That's Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 11.
Dude, can I tell you something? But real quick before you continue. It's actually crazy that you're reading from this book right now, but because the person who put me onto that book was the person that I mentioned. the lady that I almost married.
Okay, so
It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy.
We'll talk. We'll get into that in a second. That is interesting.
Yeah.
So basically, the rabbi continues: if Elijah translates this verse into Arabic, right, which is the spoken vernacular that they all spoke, right, then it is possible to consider that maybe he is Elijah the prophet and not a demon.
Yeah.
For the demons know the language of Aramaic, right? For the demons speak Aramaic and show evil dreams and whisper into the ears of those who speak Aramaic as well. However, this verse speaks about their inevitable destruction, right? They do not wish to hear it, all the more so to translate it into any vernacular language, right?
Yeah.
So, thus, when the boy asked Elijah to translate the verse, meaning the boy went with this rabbi's request and asked this demon, right, who was claiming to be Elijah the prophet, to translate this verse from Jeremiah to Arabic, which is what everybody spoke.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's when the boy asked Elijah to translate the verse. Elijah said that he had no time to waste there, for he had to leave. The boy and... one second. The boy... Oh, man. Gosh. I suck at turning pages. One sec.
Can I quickly read to you? It's like a quick blurb about Rabbi Shimon Agassi, real quick.
No, dude, let me just finish this point. It's almost over. It's almost over.
Fine. Okay.
Okay. Sorry. So that's when the boy asked Elijah to translate the verse. Elijah said that he had no time to waste there, for he had to go leave the boy and write down the merits of the Jewish people for the heavenly court, because that's what Elijah does. Elijah said that he was in a rush. When the boy told me of this response, I said to him, go back and tell Elijah to translate the verse of which I asked, for it is very important that he do so that we may know for sure that he truly is Elijah.
Yeah.
So Elijah again told the boy that he was in a rush. I said to the boy, say to Elijah that he has been conversing with us for a good while now. Yeah. Right? Why all of a sudden is he in a rush? When it should be easy for him to translate this verse instead of wasting time trying to get out of doing so. Only in this way, by translating this verse, will the sages be convinced. Yeah. When the boy said these things to Elijah, he got angry and proclaimed, Hi Hashem, which means as Hashem lives. Right?
Yeah.
So, I will never appear to you again, for you do not believe that I am Elijah, the prophet.
Wow.
And immediately Elijah disappeared and never reappeared to the boy.
Wow.
After Elijah departed, Rabbi Agassi and Rabbi Yaakov said to me that in their opinion, this was truly Elijah the prophet, for it is his way to swear by saying, Hi Hashem, right? As Hashem lives. Yeah. And our sages have said in Megillah, in Tractate Megillah, that even demons do not say the name of God in vain. So I said to them that this Elijah was a demon, and that he did not say the name of God in vain. Firstly, he fulfilled his word. He promised that he would leave and not return, and that is what he did. Therefore, what he said was not in vain, right? And more than this, in essence, Elijah never said the name of God at all. He did not say Hi Yud Hey Vav Hey. He said Hi Hashem, right? Yeah. Which is just well, in some cases it's an appellation. Yeah. So he said Hi Hashem using the word Hashem, which is the letters Hey Shin Mem. This is in reference to the name of God and not the name itself. Yeah. This is nothing other than pure deception on the part of this Elijah. The sages finally agreed that I was correct. Yeah. Now, to get back to our subject, up until now, I have been explaining the difference between dreams and... Okay, fine. So that's pretty much the end of the story. Why did I read you the story? Because he went to consult with two of the greatest Kabbalists, just all-around scholars of the time, right?
Yeah.
And they were full.
Yeah.
So very frequently you tell me, I went to a Kabbalist and he told me this, and Kabbalist, dude, if these guys were having trouble with,
I know.
So that's what I'm trying to tell you.
I know. It took you 30 minutes to tell me that, but I get it. I get what you're saying.
I just want to give you a really solid example.
I get it. You know what this guy told me? And it, it's funny, when he told me that, it was one of those things that like made sense when he told me that. But in the end, I was like, but why does it... And I knew it didn't matter, meaning what he said was ostensibly true, but it wouldn't... I'll give an example. He asked me, he's like, what's your hashkafa? Meaning he was trying to get what group that I belong to, right? And I told him, well, and he's from Israel, he's like one of these people, he became Baal Tshuva himself. And he became kind of like, just general kind of Hasidish, not Breslov, just kind of Hasidish in his own way. And I was like, listen, man, I don't really have one. I mean, like, I became from when I was 30 years old, 31 years old, and there's just a bunch of us in Jerusalem, like, kind of people who just kind of do our own kind of thing, like a blend, it's called Habakkuk, I was just, it's the closest thing I could come to explain to him what I am. And he's like, and he's like, where are you going to send your kids? If you live in Israel, where are you going to what school are you going to send your kids to? And I was like, I don't know, I'll figure it out, and he's like, listen, man, he's like, for you, somebody, your age at that time, people like you, being who you are is okay. But for your children, it's going to be confusing. And me, again, at that time, I was, again, newly minted. I didn't know any better. I was like, well, I guess he's right. So, like, I better just stay, because I was going to get married to this woman. So I was like, because we wanted to live in Israel, actually. She agreed maybe to live in Israel. So I was like, it might be better to stay in America. But then I was like, and then I thought about it. I was like, where am I going to send my kids in America? What, it's any different? The dilemma becomes different in America. It's the same dilemma, just more expensive. It's the same dilemma with a $25,000 price tag attached to it. Like, literally.
Can I tell you what I'm going to do?
What?
It's like the way because I have, with my child, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to send him to yeshiva at all.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have.
It's a good idea.
He's gonna be homeschooled.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have see if I can arrange for a Rebbe to come and teach him.
Yeah, Melamed. What do you call?
A Melamed at the home. I'm definitely gonna do everything to make sure that he gets the education that he needs, and definitely learn how to learn, and that kind of stuff. But I think that this system that we have has to dissolve essentially, and it has to kind of go back being like it was in the days when we just left Egypt and we got into Israel.
Yeah.
We set up our homesteads, and every father was there.
Like in the Gemara, a father teaches son. And dude, like this, like I get the feeling, COVID has basically exposed that most schools, not all, but most schools, especially secular schools, maybe even some religious schools, are basically just babysitting services. They are glorified babysitting services. Because the parents were like, oh man, the kids were in school and we used to be able to do this, and like, it's just a babysitter, and it's not even that good either, because you have these psycho, at least in America, these psycho teachers, inculcating kids with like psychotic ideology. If you're talking about public schools, it's insane.
Yeah, and you should listen, dude.
Yeshivas also, by the way.
I know. No, I wasn't even thinking that when I said what I said, but now that you reminded me of this whole COVID thing, I'm like, holy crap, I'm definitely, getting home. I mean, definitely getting home.
Yeah.
And in terms of like, socializing with other children, I would want my I'm trying to like not repeat the mistakes that I made.
Yeah.
Right. Which means that I want my kids to hang out with kids that are involved in the same constructive extracurricular activities. Sports, jiu-jitsu, whatever, some kind, some music, something.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Can I read to you about this really quickly blurb about Reb Shimon Agassi?
Yeah, sure. So for the folks at home, that's one of the rabbis that we just spoke about who got it wrong about the demon.
Yeah. So it says, this is a Wikipedia actually. Reb Shimon ben Aharon Agassi was a Chacham, Kabbalist in Baghdad. He was known as Harashba, acronym for Harav Rabbi Shimon ben Aharon. He, was born in 1852, passed away in 19...
Can I stop you for a second?
Okay.
I'm opening a bag of almonds, okay? I'm just gonna take them. In case, don't get mad. It ain't the chai comms. It's just me.
Okay.
Taking an almond.
Oh, it's fine. Okay.
All right. Please continue.
So actually, it's crazy. He passed away in 1914 on Erev Tisha B'Av, 8th of Av.
Wow.
And he had how many children? 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think 10 kids. He says Chacham Yehuda Fatai was one of his disciples. So he was a teacher of Yehuda Fatai. He says Agassi authored Imre Shimon B'nai Aharon, a commentary on Shar HaGilgulim by Rabbi Chaim Vital. A commentary on Shar HaGilgulim.
Yeah.
How many of us even read Shar HaGilgulim, much less write a commentary on it?
I read it in English.
Gosh. Okay, good. Dirasha, Fundamentals of Torah and the 13 Principles of Faith.
I was trying to sound like a douche. I'm sure I succeeded. All right.
Yes. Zachav Shva, I don't know what that is, and Shem Mishimon. I guess it's like Shem Mishmu, but Shem Mishimon. Zachav Shva is a book that talks about something. I don't know what it talks about. Let's see. Let's go to home. There's a video. Not video. There's a website about Shimon Agassi. Let's see. Harav Shimon Agassi's light of Torah spread through the hearts of the entire generation and those after it. Gadol v'kol mikol kol in the revealed and hidden Torah and his vast knowledge and depth of understanding. A great leader in tzedakah and kindness, great community activist, and great in understanding and vision. What's written about him? It's like a website of this. Some guy made a website to this Rav. Interesting. Yeah, man.
That's it?
No, that's it. That's all I want to read. No, it's just what's incredible to me is that, let's say, Ashkenazi Jewry doesn't get an insight into some of these people in the Sephardi world, except for maybe Ben Ish Hai. We don't get an insight into all these big.
Not true.
Not true. A little bit we do, but
Look, there's a lot of Ashkenazim. Dude, by the way, the Ramchal, what do you think? Was he Ashkenazi?
No, it was Italian.
Is it Sephardi? No, I mean Italians were generally
Sephardi, but I'm talking about these Mizrahi, Iraqi.
Okay.
These guys.
No, but
you know what I'm talking about?
I understand. I understand, but also there are many Ashkenazi religious who learn the Ari and the commentaries.
Yeah.
Anybody who's involved in Chachmas, they call it Chachmas Ha'emes, right? Yeah. In Kabbalistic study, and there's many. Yeah. All of them are very familiar with the Rashbi, and what am I talking about? What am I trying to say? Sharabi, Rabbi Sharabi.
That's what I was going to mention. Rabbi Sharabi is not really. He's kind of, I guess, known, but he's, again, I only heard about these, the Yemenite and the Iraqi rabbis, I only heard about them after except with the exception, again, of Ben Ish Hai. All the other guys I learned about when I left yeshiva. Just hanging around Sephardim and hanging around these, again, like when I was in Achlot, I was living across from this like little Sephardi shul. You start to learn about like that world, because all that's shoved in our faces, like, we just kind of, at least in my yeshiva, it was like Gal Vilna, and then Rav Dessler, and obviously Ramchal, Maharal, and then I heard about what's his name? I mean, obviously the Rebbe, but that was before. And all the.
How about Rambam and Ramban?
No, that obviously as well. Yeah, again, like these guys are in Spain. They are Sephardi, but they are in Spain. I'm talking about these like rabbis that like, Arsim know about. You know what I mean? Even Arsim know about these rabbis. You know what I'm saying?
Who knows about them? Who?
Like Arsim, like Sephardi Masorti guys, Israelis. They know about.
I never heard that term before.
What?
I never heard that term.
Arsim, like Guidos, Israeli Guidos. Ars. Like these. You see these guys with like they'll come to the kotel on what is it called for Slichot, the whole month of Elul, and they're wearing like the white kippas,
Yeah.
Like they have like jeans on and like a tight shirt and a white kippah, and they're singing Slichot for like 30 days. Those guys. So those guys.
Like what you're describing right now.
Mm-hmm.
What reminds me of Austin Powers.
Yeah.
When he's describing like carnies.
Yeah.
Remember, he's like, I don't trust the carnies. Small hands, smell like cats. Nobody knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I felt right now.
Well, these guys they're like glorified spiritual carnies. You know what I mean? They're kind of like the pikeys. I gotta send you this video. You should see. You have to see it. I can play the audio, but that's not gonna do you any justice. They're like the pikeys of the Jewish world.
Yeah. Do they got dags?
Yeah, they got dags. In the caravan for me, man. Literally in the settlements, caravan. But what do you think of this whole thing of the fact that this woman was the one that put me onto that book?
How could she have put you onto this book? This book came out. Oh, you mean
no,
Rabbi Fatih's
Yehuda
book?
Fatah, yeah, the Minchat Yehuda. Because you mentioned something.
Is she? Wait, is she Russian?
Yes.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. Russians, they go through regressions.
Okay.
I've noticed that, I'm not disconnecting myself from that.
In what sense?
In no sense, like they're kind of. Well, I'll give you a good example. My father.
Mm-hmm.
So he spent most of his time working in the city. He was a taxi driver, and then he was like a limousine driver. Not a stretch limousine, but it's kind of like whatever. The point is, he spent most of his time
car service
working in the city.
Car service.
No, not car service.
Okay.
It's different.
Okay.
This was contract for law firms.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so like it was only for like basically rich people, that kind of thing. But it wasn't a stretch limo. But these guys they had to be kind of like available. Like let's say a couple of law firms would have a contract with this limousine service, so that the drivers are always available to take all their lawyers and clients, to Scarsdale or whatever the hell, those kind of things.
Yeah.
It's not really car service, but whatever. Yeah. Okay. Plus car service, you don't own your own car, and the limousine drivers here, they all had like my father drove one, and he owned a couple that he hired drivers to whatever. It's kind of different.
Yeah.
The point is, he spent most of his time in the city, and he became this American guy.
Yeah.
He knew all the hot spots, and he dressed trendy.
Yeah.
And even his English was like was pretty good.
Okay.
And then RTVI or RTVN. RTN.
Yeah.
Russian Television Network of America showed up.
Wait. Can I quickly pause you? What does it have to do with this girl? She never.
Well, if you let me just finish.
Okay.
So he regressed.
Okay.
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 I've seen this happen in many different ways with Russians.
Okay.
And with Baal Tshuvas, let's say in this instance, they they get excited.
Yeah.
And they get into all sorts of interesting things. Then they get disappointed.
Yeah.
Right? Because the world isn't, you're not going to encounter, demons named Elijah or anything exciting like that, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And then you get bored, and then the Yetzer Hara comes, the evil inclination, and sucks you into a depression, which makes you lead back to the things that are more familiar.
Can I tell you something? By her, it wasn't that. It was not.
What else could it be?
No, it was not that. With her is most of the women that I had met prior to meeting her actually, did something called going to seminary. Or if they didn't do that, they went to, what is that noise?
That is the almond.
The what?
The almonds.
Okay.
That's it. One more almond. Just one more almond, and that's it. That's it.
Okay. No, like they went to some kind of learning, or did they went to like for example, they went to like some program, whatever it is. This girl, how did she become religious? There was some sort of, she had some sort of like weird Hashgacha Prata story, and then she met this Mikubal, and then she started keeping stuff, but because she saw stuff with the Mikubal, like weird things with the Mikubal. Some like miracles, and then also some like not like open, but like miraculous things, or things that he like said that whatever were like spot on, whatever it is. It was basically like stuff that's like it's not solid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like when the Jews saw the miracles. Like obviously that stuff doesn't stick. But the person never integrated, Torah in her bones. Even as much as like women, the girls who go to like, let's say seminary or other learning, they're not doing the same stuff as guys are, but still they're imbibing, for example, they're around certain rabbis, they're around certain rebbitzins, they're around people, they're around certain. It's not just like around Mikubal where it's like, if you're not around the Mikubal, then you fall off. That's what was happening by her. She needed to be around that person to be connected. Yeah. So it was a very flimsy in that way, as much as the person was connecting on a spiritual level when she wasn't, she really wasn't. And she was very influenced by her friends who were just like, I guess they kept Shabbat and were Jews, but it was just like, it was just, the whole thing was very weird because like the friends were like quote unquote modern Orthodox. And this girl thought that that's what she wanted to strive for because she was like, professional, whatever it is. And I'm like, I'm trying to tell her, I'm like, that modern Orthodox people don't read Minchat Yehuda. They don't sit by Mekubalim. For meals and for holidays and this and that. They don't do they're not into the stuff you're into. I'm like, I don't know if you know.
I think she just liked the look.
No, it was no. It wasn't the look. She actually was like, she was connected to it when she was doing it.
You mean modern Orthodoxy?
No, she was connected to the. You're talking about the modern Orthodoxy. You're saying why she thought she wanted.
She liked the look, the external appearance of modern Orthodoxy.
She liked the fact that it was like
spirituality of.
Yeah, she wanted the spirituality of Hasidus, but she wanted the look of modern Orthodoxy.
Right.
And I was like, okay, no, but that's fine as long as you're doing the Hasidus thing, as long as you're not doing the modern Orthodoxy thing, which
What's the modern Orthodoxy?
With nothing. Like it's a whole pile of nothing. It's what her friends were doing, which was being like barely anything. Shomer Shabbat, whatever, kosher, I guess, but like just whatever.
Technically speaking, modern Orthodoxy is Orthodox. They keep all the.
I know, but like it was just like they were. Listen, her friends weren't even that. They were like dragging her down in many ways. Not just like, I'm not even talking about religiously. I'm talking about like as like mythos and mentality, you know, like life philosophy. You know, it wasn't.
Let's not talk about this person.
Whatever.
I just feel negativity.
No. What I'm saying is like I'm just trying to convey the point that like, how should I put this? Yeah, I learned that there are things that are needed. Forget about the person. Just in general, I learned that there are things that are needed that are solid, you know. And the person didn't necessarily regress. It was just like when you don't have something solid to begin with, whatever you're doing is, you know, you're susceptible to outside influences that are not necessarily in line with Torah, you know. And yeah, that's basically it. And I don't know. There was this. The rabbi was telling me, he's like, listen, man, you gotta become this person's rabbi. Like, you have to become the woman's rabbi, you know? Your wife's rabbi, whatever, you know? I'm like,
you know, that's kind of true.
It is true. But the person has to also take you as her rabbi, accept you as her rabbi, you know? As opposed to accept, I don't know, their friends or whatever it is, you know, or their own seichel, whatever it is, you know.
They're going to take the lead from someone, so.
Yeah, and by me at that time, maybe now I'm different a little bit. I'd like to think so, but at that time, I was. What?
I meant to say they're going to let somebody take the lead. That's what I meant to
say. Yeah. I'm saying like at that time I was 33 years old, and I don't know if it was one of those things where I literally felt like somebody wanted me to get into somebody wanted me to take charge, like completely take charge.
Yeah.
And be ready, so to speak. I don't want to say for confrontation, but be ready for, you know, it was necessary for me to be like vigilant. I don't know if this is the right word. And by me, it was just like, I didn't, you know, I had the mentality of like Rodney King. I was like, can't we all just get along? You know, that's just been my mentality my whole life.
I'm going to start a confrontation right now. I'm going to have another almond. So
thank you.
Hear sound.
Yes.
See, there's going to be.
Yes.
Just going to take one more.
Yes.
One more. Okay?
Yes. Why don't you put them in a bowl so you could just pick them out of a bowl as opposed to...
Well, that would mean I'd have to get up and it's a whole thing.
Out of a bag.
Hold on.
Like the bag man.
You know the way I'm talking to you right now, I just realized where I got that. There's either Golden Child.
Yes.
Okay. Remember early on in the movie?
Yeah, he's in the plane or something like that?
No. He's going to that house where the bikers are to look for that missing girl that he's been looking for since the beginning of the movie. Mm-hmm. And then, but in order to get into the bikers' house, he has to like jump over. Mm-hmm. He has to go into the backyard of their neighbors. Yeah. It's like this family that are. Yeah. It's like a Mexican family.
Oh yeah, he's like, I'm gonna jump over now.
he's like, relax. I'm just passing through.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm just gonna grab a chip. I'm just gonna grab this one chip.
Yeah.
And then he goes, I'm grabbing the chip. He goes, it's burning, man. Flip it over. It's burning. Flip it over. I was just gonna grab a chip and I'm gonna go. Eddie Murphy, I'm gonna talk to you right now.
Yeah. No, so like I was just like, can't we all just kind of get along thing? I wasn't like, I didn't understand why I'm supposed to like be the Rav of this woman and be the, you know, raise her, because whatever. Also, this person had grew up without a father, so I'm like, I'm not trying to be somebody's father, except for maybe my kid. You know, it was just this whole thing like thrust on me. I'm like, what the heck's going on over here? It was just, the whole thing was just whatever. Anyway.
All right, so you know what? I'm gonna tell you some radical shiznit right here. Okay?
Yeah.
This is just stuff that I've heard. A collection of ideas that have fed my intuition. Okay.
Yeah.
Every time I've ever been, spoken to harshly by rabbis, let's say, that I respect. Those are the ones that really hurt. It's always, not always, but a lot. It's always about not seizing the challenges that God sends me, right? Because I want to run away from the difficult. I don't want to accept it.
Okay.
Or I don't want to recognize it. Okay? And what you just said reminds me of some of those, like, apparently mistakes that I've made.
Okay.
Okay, where because the situation seemed inconvenient, right? I'm telling you about myself right now, okay? You don't have to like completely personalize everything that I'm saying.
No, here.
But because the situation that I'm being presented with, right, didn't suit my spoiled American, lazy ass, right?
Yeah.
So I created. My mind told me that it wasn't right or something like that. I'll give you an example. During high school, I tried to go to, and this is after that whole yeshiva stat that kind of stuff. I decided to go to Lubavitch Yeshiva or in Crown Heights. Okay, but I was negotiating to actually live there. They have accommodations or dorms or whatever, right? And so the rabbi said, okay, just start coming, stay at home, and then, eventually we'll find you a place to stay. So time was dragging on and on and on. And I would spend like an hour and a half, hour, 45 minutes, 2 hours on the subway, because of late trains or whatever, I don't know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just to get to school and back. Right?
Yeah.
So I don't think that the people who told me that they were going to get a dorm were in any rush to do so. But that's not the point.
Yeah.
That's on them. I should have stayed the course.
Huh.
Right? But because it was, it didn't. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I should have embraced. I should have seen this as a challenge from God and done this and kind of. This is different than what you're talking about. But I can't think. I have an aftertaste of the kind of thing that you're talking about, and I can't remember exactly a good example to compare to yours. But something about this example that I'm saying, there's something there. There's a similarity there. It's just we've failed. Okay, there have been failures where.
But how can you fail at something where you didn't have the skill to begin with, dude? I wasn't.
I think that some failures occur just to kind of teach us that there is something to fail.
Yeah.
You understand? It's like I agree with you. Basically, it's like some of the things, you don't realize.
Dude, I wasn't the man I was today at that time that I am today in terms of you know what I'm saying? I wasn't.
Right.
I wasn't.
And there was nobody. And what's worse is that there was nobody.
There's nobody to teach you.
There's nobody to teach you
this Sephardi
what's happening and to say this is what you have to do.
Yeah, no, this Sephardi Rav, he's a little bit older than me. At that time, is telling me this is what you have to be and how you have to be. But I'm like, I don't know how to be that because nobody taught me how to be that. I know that I have to do that. But I wish I knew how, and I don't. Maybe now I do. Maybe I've known as of maybe a couple of years ago, but at that time I didn't know. I was a boy. I was mamish, I was 33 years old, but I was a boy. Literally. I was 30. People ask me, how are you so young still today? Because at 33, I was a fucking boy. That's how.
All right, so you're basically,
how's that?
You're developmentally disabled.
Yes, exactly. On some levels, not completely, because at that time.
I can say that. I can say that because I'm a 40-year-old.
No, listen, I have to give myself credit because at that time I had already been married and I had a very traumatic, this experience with losing a kid and stuff, and having to, whatever. Like I had to grow up in many ways from my 20s of doing whatever the hell I wanted. But still, I was 33 and in many ways still a kid. You know, and just like, and then here's this rabbi telling me,
I can hear King David. King David. He's like 33 and still a kid, huh? I was already king of Israel.
Exactly.
No,
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know why. No, I'm not giving David that voice. David had a beautiful.
Yeah.
He's like,
and then on top of it off, my father. I remember when I turned 27, my father's like, "When I was 27, I already had you." I'm like, okay.
I know. I hear stuff like that
it's
too.
Just
I'm
like,
I was like, listen. Do you want me to repeat your mistakes? That's that's usually what I say to my dad.
That's funny. No, it's just like at that time.
I'm excellent at being a wise guy.
Yeah.
Not wise, but a wise guy.
Yeah. No, it's just kind of like I literally was like, I would like to do what you say, what you suggest, but I don't have the ability. You're asking me to give what I ain't got, and to be who I'm not.
Also, right? Like they had a completely like different culture with a different like,
of course,
like time clock.
Dude, this guy went to the army. This guy went to the freaking army. Okay?
Yeah, they all did.
Yeah.
They had to.
I don't know, man.
That's the thing. Like people like our parents were still kind of connected to the generation of people who had to get a lot of stuff done before
a certain age.
60.
Dude, they were in a war. Their parents were in a war. They were raised by war parents. We were raised by not that. Not that it's their fault,
like,
but whatever.
What is it? What is this like? Bad times create hard men create good times, good times create weak men.
Weak men.
That's
weak men create hard times. Yeah, that's where we are right now. Weak men create hard times. And then hard times create
hard men.
Yeah.
And over. I hope that cycle ends.
Yeah.
Because
Mashiach came. And he taught us and he taught us how to like not, you know.
The cycle continues. The cycle only occurs because each one of the cycles was supposed to be Mashiach. You understand? Yeah. Like the hard times produce tough men, and then the tough men create the good times, and then the good times supposed to be Mashiach. Okay? And Mashiach didn't come because God keeps not letting it happen, which creates weakness, and then the cycle goes over and over again. So again, God's fault.
Yeah. Can I ask a question? Has anybody ever, like, have you ever enunciated the word God's fault, the phrase God's fault in front of like some sort of rabbi or somebody who's like say Talmid Chacham or a Talmid Chacham, and they say to you, that's, you know,
the closest thing I ever heard to this, okay, was in Chassidus actually.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard in various lectures. I've heard. I don't want to say names. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, right?
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, the people who are, I would say, the closest to God in full acceptance of who God is, right, are Chassidim, and yet and by closest I mean accept unconditionally with love whatever it is that God is and does. Okay, and yet they're also the most, in a sense, like it's kind of like a holy chutzpah, where I don't know if I'll get anybody to admit this. I've just heard statements like this, and from the Rebbes and stuff like that, and they're Maimarim. Where essentially it just comes down to the reason why we're in this is because it's God's will.
Yeah.
Okay, like the Garden of Eden, the tree thing, that was a setup. So was you keep learning new things about these situations, and you see they didn't stand a chance.
Yeah. Against
this setup. So why?
Yeah.
Well, because God has he has his reasons. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Okay, so and even to people who teach that stuff, I wouldn't even say what I'm saying. You know why? Because it's not fair to say that to these people. Because what I'm saying is basically insane.
Yeah.
It's just it's a person who is not like settled in the world. It's just basically it's despair.
Yeah.
It's a person who has any sort of like comfort in this world doesn't want to endanger that comfort by pissing off the boss.
Yeah.
Okay? Nobody wants... See, I feel like people who say that even that they love God and they accept God, they're really just scared.
Yeah.
It's fear.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Which means that, I mean, I don't know if I'm right. It just sometimes I suspect this, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you guys don't want to say... It's not because you're fully accepting of everything that God does with perfect love and everything, and because you totally trust His wisdom. You're just scared. You're scared to say anything bad about the boss because you're going to piss him off. You think he's going to punish you. Okay? Which is kind of like that's not ideal, to put it mildly, right? But then again, why should I judge these people for being scared? It's scary, right? Why would I want to force them, right, to try to admit to something that can get them, you know, in their minds, could get them into big trouble. You know what I mean? Like that's. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
It's just not a nice thing to do. That's why, like, I used to have all these like questions, which, you know, which are legitimate questions, which made me angry and all that kind of stuff. But I realized these questions are not fair to ask to any human being because nobody knows how to answer it.
Yeah.
Not even Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu would be like,
I'm not saying you should ask the questions. I'm saying you should make. I'm saying
he's
you.
He's like, what do you think I am? I'm not. I'm a
Dude,
creation.
I'm not saying you.
Go ahead. Go talk to the boss and let us know.
I'm not saying you should ask the question. I'm saying you should even maybe make the statement in front of them.
They're gonna look. They're gonna say
and see what they say.
What everybody else is gonna say.
What?
They're gonna wanna make sure that they are okay with the boss. So they're gonna shit on me to make sure that that's the case. You understand?
Yeah.
That's what's gonna happen.
Don't talk about the Godfather like that, you ungrateful.
Right.
Dude, can I tell you something? You know what I was thinking?
Be like, I'm not with him.
I was thinking a lot about this today over Shabbos. You know, obviously being around like a kiruv rabbi, where you're not going to hear the stuff that we say. You're not going. First of all, I was talking to this rabbi, right? So he mentioned to me how, like, we're walking back from shul. This is the first instance. This is already the first kind of like siman. I was like, okay. He goes to me, you know, that's the typical thing of like how basically he heard from some big rabbi that, you know, we have to, the world, you know, if Mashiach came today, it would be like Mitzrayim, where only 20%, so to speak, are ready for him. All right? So right away, that's already kind of like, for me, it set off I'm going to call this a Frankism in my mind. You know, I already had a friend. So I told him, I'm like, well,
wow, I'm really in huge trouble.
Yeah. Well, I told this rabbi, I'm like, well, the Rebbe I don't know if I said the Rebbe used to say, I'm like, there's an idea that Mashiach will make us ready for him when he arrives, because he's Mashiach. And then this rabbi goes, that's an interesting idea. And I never heard that. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, no shiznit, you never heard that because you're a Litvak. I wanted to say that, but I didn't, because he's my friend. He's a good guy. He's also very one of these people, like he's not the typical, you know, also like he's not like super misnagid, like let's say. But at the end of the day, he's
I don't think there has been any real misnagid for like I don't know.
I'm just saying he's not against Chabad. You know, some of these people, they're like dafka against Chabad. Like a lot of these guys, you know, they're like anti-Chabad. He's not.
Yeah.
At all. Like what's it called? I don't know. There's like interesting discussions. Like, I for sure, no, but like, I was thinking like, you know, there's all this like, for example, he does like coaching, right? So he coaches people about business and this and that and like different things and like relationships. and I'm thinking to myself, like, on the one hand, I'm like, oh, I kind of got, whatever. I was sleeping in the basement on Shabbos, like a nice finished basement, and then like I could see like he has a wall, the dry erase, like where he jots down all the things he has to do, organizes them, and I'm thinking to myself, like with the exception of like the stuff that's related to Kiruv, I guess, everything else is like either busy work or helping people improve their busy work. But I'm thinking like it's all so important. People are paying him, or people are paying coaches thousands of dollars how to coach them, how to improve their busy work skills. If you think about it.
Now, what do you mean by busy work?
What I mean by busy work is like anything that we think is important in this world that has nothing to do with Hashem.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Just the crap that forget that we're gonna die.
Businesses, like this, whatever, whatever. Some, I don't know. Organize this, organize that, blah blah blah. It's garbage, But we think is important. So like, on the one hand, I'm thinking to myself, what is this guy doing? But on the other hand, it's like, you read this like, I read this like Breslov book. You got to be happy with your lot, and when you do his bodadus, you got to tell Hashem that you're thankful already. That you're grateful already for the things that, like you wake up and you have breath, right? And I'm thinking to myself, like, and I went back to, again, another Frankim is in my mind. Why shouldn't we have breath? Why should, we say Modeh Ani, thank you Hashem for waking me up. But why should we be like, oh, thank you Hashem for not killing me at night? Spasiba. Why should that even be a thing?
I don't know if I would call that a Frankism, but I guess I can kind of.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, why should, dude? For the first 30 years of my life, or 29, I wasn't paranoid about not waking up in the morning. I didn't say bedtime Shema. I didn't say Modeh Ani. И как-то я просыпался, и как-то я шел спать. Somehow, some way, I survived the night, and I woke up with breath, Baruch Hashem, and I woke. I don't know. There was no reason for me to pass away in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden now I'm paranoid about it, and now I'm saying thank you Hashem for giving me breath. What's going on over here?
Okay, can I explain?
Thank you. Yes, please.
Okay, I think I should. Okay, so let's see. So basically, I think when I am saying stuff like, why the hell should we be so grateful, right? What I'm really saying is, I'd like to understand why, and the information is not being shared, and the reasons that are given don't make sense.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, I really actually would like to be grateful.
Yeah.
I would actually, for real, like to
You
be
want to
grateful.
get to that place, you're saying?
I want to get to the place where I want to see that brilliance.
Yeah.
I want to see what's so incredible. It's because, again, for the time being, it's dinner for schmucks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're brought to this situation by Hashem and our soul.
Yeah.
But it's not really clear what purpose we're serving, and whether or not we're ever going to be able to appreciate it. You understand what I'm saying? Like whether or not, by appreciate meaning understand, or be a part of it. Like you go to let's say you go to some like, I don't know, some esoteric art show, right?
Yeah.
And everybody seems to understand what's going on except for you.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want to. Like Norm Macdonald talks about this stuff all the time.
Dude, when you said that, I thought of in Wedding Crashers, the gay art show. When he's
you know what? I come to realize I probably hadn't seen every part of that movie.
There's a part where Vince Vaughn, where he's like at night sleeping in the house, and then the gay son of Christopher Walken comes in, and he like paints, and then he ends up painting him. Like not painting on him, but like sketching him. And then the next morning he's like, he comes up to what's his name, the blonde, his friend. He's like, you left me in there, and I was participating at a gay art show the whole night. Anyway,
I'm not sure if that's exactly
whatever. You got to
what I
see it.
mean.
Like, when you said esoteric art show, that's what I was like.
Okay, no, but the point is, like, I just brought up that thing because,
Yeah.
like, you notice that everybody seems to be kind of hooked in,
Yeah.
except for you. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
ever experienced
Yeah,
that. I've
yeah,
experienced
yeah,
that plenty of times.
Yeah.
Like, especially, and I've experienced that the times I've hung out with Manhattanites, like,
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
Manhattanites,
Yeah.
where
Yes.
everybody's very skinny.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody is very, they're fucking weird.
I know they're weird. You're telling me?
It's almost like they're 10,000-year-old beings,
Yeah.
immortals that
Yep.
have kind of lived many lifestyles, and they find it amusing that when anybody cares about anything,
Yep.
they feel nothing.
Dude, I'll tell you a story, man. I was dating this girl, who was, I think I was like 36. She was 23. She went to.
Nice.
I approve. Well, she was a little bit. She ended up going to like Bat Ayin for a little bit when she was 20 or 21, and then she moved back to America and just kind of chilled out from that whole thing. And then it was New Year's, and she was like, "Oh, let's go to the house of this. Who was it? Some woman. Her friend who she met at those like
some weirdo.
No, those like language meetups, like different languages.
No.
Whatever. It's called Duolingo. It's like she's like, let's go to the house of the friend of my friend, where it's like basically it's all non-Jews. Actually, no, some of them are Jews, but like it's just a bunch of people who nothing to do with my world at all. It's like stuff that I would find myself in when I was in my 20s, but like these are all. We walk in, it's like this house in like the West Village, one of those brownstones, and like it's like a professor and like whatever.
Yeah.
And there's nothing kosher there. I don't know what the hell. I brought my own wine, Mevoshel, whatever. And it was crazy. It was like, and I'm like, what am I doing here? And like some of these people a couple of people are Jewish, but it's just kind of like,
dude, I guess, do you know what's weird?
It was just weird.
I do amazing in those situations.
I did amazing later, a little bit, after I got a few drinks in me.
People, for some reason, those type of people love me. I don't understand it.
They also loved me late, but you know what happened? Because I was still living in Crown Heights at the time, and I was very much in like the, I couldn't. Dude, Crown Heights has Kedusha, that neighborhood has Kedusha. So when I would step out of Crown Heights, I would go to like the city. Dude, I felt like, I'm telling you, that apartment, I felt tumma. I was like sitting there. And it's New Year's. It's like Sylvester. It's like a historic night where like Jews got the ass beat.
Explain to the folks at home the word Sylvester.
The words. Okay, so New Year's. When you leave America, when you go to Israel, January 1st is known as a day called Sylvester. Sylvester was named after Pope Sylvester, anti-Semitic pope.
I think he was the first pope, right?
I don't know if he was the first pope, but it was like he was anti-Semitic pope, and it was when at his time, when Jews would get the ass beat. It was Nittelnacht was a good day to do that, and January 1st was a good day to do that. It was an auspicious date for the Goyim to beat our ass, or kill us. So I don't know. I was in this house and I felt, just like impurity. And I couldn't understand, like, this girl is chilling there, sitting there, talking to, we're like the youngest people there. She's talking to these, like, 55-year-old socialite ladies that you see in, like, New York Magazine, They look like, that, like a poor man's Diane von Furstenberg,
Yeah.
Basically it's like a poor man's Studio 54, but, like, older people who used to go to Studio 54 kind of deal.
I don't know why you say the poor man's, they're all rich, but...
No, I'm saying it was like poor man's in the sense they're not as famous,
Okay.
That's what it was. And I was like, how is this girl who went to Bat Ayin for 8 months able to withstand this? And I can't. Like, I'm sitting there, I'm just like, get me the flip out of here. It just was like, I couldn't be there. You know? So, I know exactly what you're talking about when you're saying, you know? It was just this Manhattan, I don't know, it was just like, it was crazy. And then,
Dude, I literally forgot what I was talking about in the course of your story.
I'm sorry.
No, I really did.
Yeah.
Can you help me?
You were talking about the Manhattanite, you were people, and you thrive in something. But
no, I didn't know. I said that in the context of the story that you were telling.
You were talking about Manhattan. I don't freaking know.
Dude, I was just saying that, like, oh yeah, esoteric art show. Got it.
Yeah.
My point is that, like, I feel like God. Sometimes I feel like God and my soul, right? Which I am not.
Yeah.
People, by the way, for the folks at home, your soul. There's different levels of your soul, right? So the Torah talks about 5 levels of the soul. The one that the part of the soul that we are connected to is called the nefesh. Okay, the nefesh is the experience that we have here, just in the, I guess you could say, in the mundane aspects of life, just our basic awareness, right? Some of our emotions, and so forth. The higher aspects of the soul, that's what I'm talking about, right? You start talking about the next level up, which would be the ruach. That means the unseen force, the spirit. And then on top of that, there's the neshama, which has more to do with kind of the intellectual, but more than that. So those aspects, most people don't have, they're not consciously in touch with. So those aspects of your soul and God, right? They are using you in this context of your experience, right? To get some kind of important work done. But since you don't understand what's going on and you can't appreciate what's going on, you feel like a schmuck. You know? And after a while you wonder, like, what the hell? No one's sharing anything with you. You don't understand. Nobody's explaining to you what the importance is. It's almost like it's almost like you can hear them say, well, you wouldn't understand anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, it's like, well, I don't want to participate then.
Yeah. Exactly.
Why did you create the situation, right, where I'm supposed to just, this sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? That's essentially what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When I'm saying that I'd like to get into a situation where I can actually appreciate what this is all about. Because I want to be grateful, because I want to be happy, I want to be enlightened, I want to understand that this is all for something. And I'm just sick of waiting around for it. It's been 6,000 years.
Yeah.
So in a sense, again, it comes back to I'm angry at God for not being here, for not already showing up. So it's not like I'm angry at God and therefore I want nothing to do with him and I want to go to hedonism in the Bahamas. Okay? Yeah. No. I'd like to know, can fill me, can you hook me in to the situation? Can you loop me in? Can you make me feel like I'm part of it?
Yeah.
Can you stop making me feel like I'm such a fool that will never understand? Because if that's the case, then I don't want to exist.
Yeah.
I'm not grateful, okay, for this, like, eternal, it feels like, like the carrot on a stick sitting, like I'm the donkey. Yeah. My soul is sitting on me, holding like a stick with a carrot dangling. I never quite get it. I understand. I have to have faith that that's not going to go on for all eternity, but it's gone on for a long time.
Yeah.
That's really what I'm saying. So again, I'm just like, I'm just voicing it in a realistic way. Where if I were to say this, I can imagine a rabbi would say, "No, don't say it like that. Say it like this." And I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm going to say it exactly how I feel."
Yeah.
Because you're trying to make me sound not real.
Yeah.
Or in a sense, they're trying to protect me. They say, "Don't be disrespectful, so you don't get struck down."
Yeah.
That's essentially what they're saying.
Struck down. I mean, what is this, Catholicism? What, are we going to get hit by a lightning bolt?
Yes, that's right. That's right. And you know what? I don't blame them. I don't blame the rabbis who are treating Judaism like Catholicism, and I don't blame the Catholics who are practicing Catholicism. You know why? because if that's what God makes it look like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you got you got these like,
it's like
then,
tyranny.
Then the wise guy Kabbalists come and say, no, it's a very primitive understanding of how the world functions, and there's a system, and but it still amounts to the same result, right?
It still amounts to the same confusion, and the same non-system.
No,
it's a system, but it's not a system.
No, what I mean is like, oh, that's a very, God is. I've heard, let's say, Rabbi Pinson say stuff like, oh, God. I was bad, so God punished me, and he goes, that's very childish.
Yeah.
The more adult way of looking at it is to understand that God created the system. I understand, but still, but it's still the same basic facts, right? I did something.
Yeah.
And then I was punished, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether or not God is mad at me or not is kind of irrelevant.
Yeah.
When it comes to, the Holocaust or something like that. Like, I don't, at some point, I don't care what the reason is.
Yeah.
How can somebody care while they're, while they're being, whatever. Even that, what set me off, that freaking story you sent me?
Wait, which one?
About, Reb Hutner.
Yeah.
Right? And the guy with the hook for the hand, with the Nazi sawing his hand off, saying, it hurts, no? Like that? Like, I'm supposed to care if I hurt God's feelings?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
so
there's really, and this is an unfair thing to say to anyone, or to any rabbi, or to anybody. Even unfair to Moshe Rabbeinu, or even unfair to Mashiach.
Can I tell you something?
He's going to be like, he's like, dude, what are you trying to get me in trouble here? Like, well, leave me alone.
Can I tell you something? The rabbi from tonight, I'm not going to say his name, gave me the vibe that if you or I would have come up to him and tell him this, he would understand where we're coming from. He would do anything to make us feel better and happy. That rabbi, better and happy, but not like
he's pure love.
Not reprimand us for, or like try to temper our words. He would just say like, I hear you, I'm there with you, and that's what he would say. He would relate. He would try to relate, at least try, because he's like.
He's a Levi Yitzhak type of person.
Yeah.
Levi
Yitzhak Berdichev, you're talking about.
Yeah. There's, for the folks at home, there was a rabbi in the 1700s who was an excellent friend of the Alter Rebbe.
Yeah.
They were great friends.
They were Mechutin friends.
They were very close.
They were in-laws.
They were more than friends.
They were in-laws.
They were brothers.
Yeah.
They were brothers.
Yeah.
And each one of them, was a master of the highest possible, whatever.
Yeah.
They're really from...
Levi Yitzhak was, they call him the what is it, defense attorney of the Jewish people.
He's the defender of Israel.
Like, the defense attorney of the Jewish people.
In the defender of Israel.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He would, basically...
He would go up.
They would say that, he would ascend to the heavenly court.
Yeah.
And there would be prosecuting angels that would metaphorically come into the courtroom with a cart full of sins of the Jewish people, right? And then they would like to present all of the sins of the Jews to to establish harsh decrees against the Jews. So he would go into the court, he'd barge into the court during the prosecutors, whatever the hell their speech, and he'd go to the cart, and he'd pick up the sin, right? Like, imagine like it's a little, like something you can handle, right? Like, this guy, he was having a bad day. He'd throw it out. I see this guy. No, this guy did this because he was, something happened to him as a kid, and this and that. He'd throw it out. By the end, the cart would be empty. Court dismissed.
Yep, exactly.
That's what he would do all
Dude,
day.
he was like the Robert Shapiro of Jewish people. Lahavdil. What Robert Shapiro was to OJ,
Right. He was that's what Levi Yitzhak was like. You couldn't do wrong. Like, I don't know. Like, would he try to save Soros?
No.
It's possible.
Or maybe, yeah.
Like, that's how dedicated he was. He'd even try to find something for Soros. He'd be like, well, he's upset about his
So
height.
what you're saying is the rabbi from tonight is like that kind of type of person.
The rabbi from where?
No, from tonight, like the rabbi that I met tonight, who was one of your rabbis.
Yeah, Rabbi Reuben. Yeah, that's I think that's the kind of person he is.
Yeah. You know,
I told you how many kids he has, right?
like 15, 1-5. Right?
He would he'd come to school in a bus, and it's amazing because I haven't seen him in a long time, but when I was there, he was like like a clean cut, like a clean shaven.
He still kind of is.
know,
He had like a pinstripe shirt tonight, and a I think a gray, or maybe no, like a black, like a grayish hat.
Is he?
He looked like
Is he still clean shaven?
he's almost clean shaven. He's kind of like he's neat. It's like a neat beard, like a short beard. That's
Oh, it could
neatly.
be Sphera beard.
Yeah, Sphera beard, and he just like an Al Capone kind of suit, like a poor man's Al Capone suit,
Why you gotta?
No, when I say poor man's, it doesn't look fully kind of like it, but it's like compared to the guys in yeshiva, he looked like Al Capone. It was kind of funny, but it was cool. I liked it. That's why I thought he was just like one of those balabatim. I didn't realize he was like the, rabbi, of this tab, of this place.
Well, Tab has closed down a while ago.
Yeah. Oh, it did? Okay. Oh, look at this. This is an article here from 2011. Last Stop Yeshivas, Future Seen in Doubt. For almost 30 years, Torah Academy High School of Brooklyn has been a haven for young men seeking an alternative to the rigid mainstream Haredi yeshivas and the limited future career opportunities they afford. Now the future of Tab is itself in doubt. This is like 10 years ago. Its fate in jeopardy over an application submitted to the New York State Attorney General by the school's administrator seeking permission to sell school property. While it appears that both schools' own board of directors and the Attorney General may have been derelict in their duty to properly vet the proposed sale, a New York Supreme Court judge has recently called a halt to the proceedings to get to the bottom of the matter. It may not be easy. The drama playing out regarding the Flatbush School, referred to as the Last Stop Yeshiva, in a 1996 Jewish Week article for offering a compassionate sanctuary for Orthodox boys who don't fit the quote-unquote mold, is a complicated one. Some Tab alumni and supporters believe the bid by school administrator Moshe Rubin to sell school property is actually a cover for his intention to shutter the yeshiva. An attorney for the Tab Alumni Association alleges in court papers that Tab officers and directors may have been involved in financial improprieties. Oh, man.
Nonsense.
It's bullshit, yeah.
Complete impossibility.
There is a personal side of the story, too. It pits the school's founder, Rabbi Avi Davidovitz, who is a beloved figure to many Tab alumni, against Rubin, who was brought in as an administrator a year after the school's founding in 1982. So what, they, became... And who some believe is on the campaign to intimidate Davidovitz into silence. What?
Complete nonsense.
Oh, my goodness. What didn't you just tell me, these guys were, friends? Or they were, partners?
Dude, I don't believe a word.
This is crazy. This is from this is New York Jewish Week. This was 10 years ago article. Hovering over the whole situation is a political question. Was the Tab application was clearly incomplete and riddled with anomalies approved by the Attorney General's office as a political favor in the waning days of Governor Andrew Cuomo's tenure as Attorney General? The saga began last August with what looked like a pro forma application submitted by Rubin to the Attorney General for approval to sell a piece of land to the school bought in 2000. Adjacent to the school's East 9th location, the plot was to be used as a site for a new building, but it was never developed. Under certain conditions, nonprofits must seek approval from Attorney General's Charities Division to sell real property. In the application, Rubin claims that the school is mired in debt, owing close to $2 million to lenders and teachers, and that the sale is necessary to pay off those obligations. He also notes that a dissolution of Tab is not contemplated at this time, an action that would require the approval and oversight of both the court and Attorney General. When nonprofits dissolve, the Attorney General oversees the dispersal of any remaining assets to ensure that the interests of all connected parties are met. But the application itself provides no real evidence for many of the loans, almost all of which Rubin claims were taken to repay prior loans the school used to pay off the original mortgage on the plot. While the vast majority of the loans were taken in the past several years, the original mortgage was apparently satisfied in 2002. In lieu of promissory notes or other written agreements to support most of these loans, the application instead furnishes signed affidavits from creditors detailing the loan's terms, and with respect to some loans, copies of checks made out to Tab. In addition to the loan affidavits, the application also contains affidavits from teachers and administrative staff regarding salary owed them in many cases since mid or late 2009, totaling just over $750,000. The application seems to also suggest that the accuracy of the school's financial statements is in doubt. Tab's accountant states in the application that Tab management has elected to omit substantially all of the disclosures required by generally accepted accounting principles. As a result, the accounting firm makes clear that the financial statements provided in the application may not accurately reflect the financial position of the school.
Okay, so we're reading a bunch of
whatever.
Facts mixed with
blah blah blah.
slanders, and you know what I mean? Like,
it's crazy.
I don't know if it's a good idea to continue reading.
Yeah.
Because we could be reading complete chush.
Complete chush sabachi. Yeah.
Horseshit.
Written by people that want to.
One thing I will say is that, I mean, they this is not.
So listen to this. This is statements from the students about just the school itself. So this is why actually I wanted to get into. I don't care about all this other stuff. Here. Despite the controversy over Ruben's application, one thing that is clear is that among many in the community, Tab is considered a vital institution. After learning of the current situation several months ago, one community activist claims he is ready to step in and help keep the school afloat under certain conditions. Tab is too important an institution to be allowed to be shut down, said Jacob Eisenstein, who lives on the Upper West Side and is actively involved in several organizations in both Manhattan and Brooklyn, geared towards addressing the needs of Orthodox youth. Referring to his own supporters, Eisenstein added, "We're prepared to raise the funds needed to operate Tab, provided there's transparency and competent management in place to support Rabbi Davidovich's work. But it seems that nobody may feel more passionately about Tab and its fate than its own alumni. As a student, I always felt out of place. When I came to Tab, my life changed," comments Alex Madnick on the alumni Facebook page. Referring to Davidovich, Madnick continues, "Rabbi D is and was a true model to me. He made me want to be better and taught me so much. There is no other school like Tab. I consider Tab to be my family. I wish I could have started off in Tab when I was 4 years old and not 16. Tab's existence is crucial because their approach, love, and devotion towards present and past students is unique and successful." Shlomi Kreisman echoes these sentiments, writing that Tab is amazing, helping so many kids get through their rough ages. Hopefully they can continue to do so years and years. Whether or not that will happen, however, remains to be seen. There was a whole thing, petition site, help save Tab. Right, Moshe Rubin is leaving Tab. Here. Save our school. This is from, I don't know what year. It's just like one of these petitions. Alumnus of Torah Academy High School of Brooklyn and a member of Tab Alumni Association. Rabbi Moshe Rubin is leaving Tab to manage Ruach HaTorah. Rabbi Rubin has filed an application, not pending in court, seeking permission to sell the property. Okay, whatever. Rabbi Davidovich objects. Okay, so apparently, so Rabbi Rubin filed to close the school, and then Rabbi Davidovich objects to sale. Interesting. So this is from like a guy who went there.
I'm hearing, the only thing I can imagine is that they wanted to relocate.
Yeah.
Not close the school.
Well, I guess one wanted to, and the other rabbi disagreed.
Right. I mean, that there might have been a disagreement about that.
And I think that's what tonight when Rabbi Rubin told me. Whatever. People make mistakes, so I guess people make mistakes. Whatever. Anyhoodle.
It could have been that he didn't see any other way of like keeping the place open,
Yeah.
Besides, because basically the neighborhood that they were in was like, that's where all the Syrians were building and buying and building their $1 million houses.
Yeah. And the real estate is going through the freaking roof.
Right.
So how
you could sell the property to some Syrian.
So how you afford the building?
And then buy a building in a cheaper area. I don't know.
Yeah.
I could see the idea possibly. I don't know. obviously, that there might be people who I can kind of see why maybe you shouldn't do that either. Because I kind of had, when I was in Mayanot, when I got there, they were living, the Mayanot was in a house in Share Chesed. That's like a 2-block little kind of enclave within Rehavia. You know what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know Share Chesed, right?
Of course. Dude, I went to a mikveh there recently.
Okay, so so they were on, so Mayanot was in this incredible house, but it was a house, it was like a 3-story house.
Sure.
Jerusalem stone, beautiful house, right? But it wasn't a building, it was just a house. Okay, and it was very homey type. Everybody loved it. There was like a house kitchen and everything, and it was a beautiful little And then they decided, because they wanted to grow, they bought a building off of Jaffa Street. It was like David Yellen Street. Basically right off of Mayor Shara.
I know exactly what it is.
Right, and obviously there was more room, and but the vibe was completely different.
Yeah,
it changed everything. I'm not saying it was worse. I mean, obviously, thank God they're still doing okay. I'm just saying that I kind of see why maybe some people wanted to kind of keep it that kind of small, quaint type.
Yeah.
It was very comfortable, but it was it was like a sheltered. You felt safe, It felt like a pocket of something nice.
Yeah.
Right, but then you move to a place where where things are a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's why somebody didn't want to move from that place. So it's like.
Yeah. No, I hear that.
It's a bummer to hear when there's when Machloikis breaks out,
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, he's involved with URA, that organization URA.
No.
Whatever, it's also sort of Kirubi, but not really. In Lakewood, so he's involved with them. Rabbi Mintz, you know Rabbi Mintz?
The name is
Eliyahu Mintz. He has videos on YouTube. People ask questions. Shilas.
Yeah.
He's I saw him today actually. Also, he's he was there. Davening. A lot of big names there. Rabbi Feinstein's son was there.
There's Reuven Feinstein.
Reuven.
Another one, right?
Reuven. He's in a wheelchair. He was in a wheelchair.
Oh man.
He's older. No, I'm saying he's not. Baruch Hashem, he's okay, but he's just it's hard for him to walk. Yeah. A lot of interesting people.
How did you end up in
No, I just know that this rabbi, this young guy who's our age, this Kiruv rabbi, who's I'm friends with him for 10 years, maybe a little less than that, and he invited me for Shabbos. I haven't seen him in a long time. He lives a 10-minute walk from the yeshiva. There's a community there of that started. And he invited me for Shabbos, and he's that's where he davens. He davens there's the shtibel next to the yeshiva, that's where the Rosh Yeshiva davens. But then you have the yeshiva, which looks like Hogwarts from the outside, which is very funny. It just looks like one of these old, it used to be a church.
You're talking about Staten Island.
You see Staten Island. It used to be a church, and then they bought it, and then what happened was it was a crazy story. Rabbi Feinstein obviously at that time was the head of it, and when they bought it, they obviously converted the building. They covered whatever needed to be covered, remove what they needed to remove, but then Rabbi Moshe said, "We're not going to go inside. We're not going to put an Aron Kodesh in there for a year." He basically was it the tumah it needs a year to wear off.
Right.
Essentially, that wasn't the words my friend used, the rabbi used, but essentially that's what I understood. We're not going to use it. It's like ben yomo, it's like a vessel that you can't use for 24 hours. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like ben shana.
You know what else? I mean, similar type of story. Morristown Yeshiva.
Mm-hmm.
The building was actually it was a Catholic school for wayward girls.
Yeah. Interesting.
was also, you
Huh.
know,
So, yeah, man, and then they and then they came in. It's funny. The building feels like some like Brooklyn, like a public school. I was inside. I'm like, wow. I don't know if you've ever been in that building,
never been.
dude. The Aron Kodesh was brought in from Italy. It's like this intricate work of art.
Wow.
And the rabbi told me that they used to have, they have like the two lions on top, the lions from the mirror, whatever, the Merkaba, whatever. And
Yeah.
there used to be an eagle, also, from the Ezekiel's like vision, and Reb
Yeah.
Moshe had the eagle removed because he's like, you can't have either. You're gonna have, I think he explained to me, either you're gonna have a lion and an eagle, or if you're gonna have two lions, you can't have the eagle, something like that. Or they had two eagles. I don't know. He's like, remove the eagles, basically. I said, oh, I thought the eagles were like something to do with like Rome. He's like, no, 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 it's from the chariot.
Yeah.
Because the eagle, lion, this. So Moshe said we have to remove the eagle. It's crazy. It's so crazy, man. Like, you know, you have these guys who are like, I don't know if they're into Panemius so much. All the guys that were like davening and learning there today. But the person who founded their yeshiva was like on another level, just like removing eagles. You can't go into the building because whatever. There was a church, for a certain amount of time. Knew exact amount of time you can't go into the building. It's like serious people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a joke. Like we're not playing games over here. Like it's crazy. And then it was funny. It was like, we davened mincha, and then I guess like the whole yeshiva had shalosh shudas. I didn't go because I already ate, whatever. So I'm just like, I decided to walk around the building. Like there's like a path just around the building. You can walk around it. And I guess there's like a Mexican guy that works there, so he has his own dorm room in there, on like all the way in the back of the building, on the first floor. So I'm walking by. And I just hear like this, the Mexican mariachi music, whatever, like this merengue music. So here you have like next door to him, there's like a bunch of dudes, like literally, I think there's like 200 of them or maybe more, singing Shalashudas. And then a couple doors down, there's like a Mexican dude listening to.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I said, yeah, it's like Pablo Francisco. Ay, ay, ay. I was like, you got Pablo Francisco, and then like Mizmor LeDavid. It was just weird. I was like, what is going on over here? This is odd.
Dude, can you imagine how nuts it would be if Pablo Francisco, on top of everything, was Jewish and had like a Jewish background?
That would be Marano. Yeah, that would be hilarious.
That'd be nuts. No, I mean like if he grew up in a Jewish environment.
That would be very funny. And then he would get up on stage and like do his whole shtick about like what it's like.
Oh man, no one. He just like massacre everybody.
Yeah. No one would be safe.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I know. I'll tell you something. When I was standing there, I was davening mincha. I was like all the way in the back, so it's because we came in later, and I'm looking at these guys, very nice guys, the guys that learn there, but like, I'm thinking to myself, this whole picture that I see in front of me, it's not sustainable. The only thing sustaining it so far is Hashem himself. The whole picture in terms of financially not sustainable, culturally not sustainable. None of it's sustainable. Like these guys are like, some of them, I'm looking at them like, socially speaking, they're like, I don't want to use the word like, I had a friend who grew up going to, Baragola High School.
Yeah.
And then he kind of went off a little bit, but then he went to Aish. And I remember I met up with him in Aish when I was in Shiva, and he goes to me, he's like, Tzvi, I hope you know, many of these guys are cripples. Like, cripples as in not like their legs are broken, but like they're cripples. По жизни, they're cripples.
Explain what you mean.
Like they're cripples. Like they are like socially. You know, stunted. Like I saw some of these guys today, and like I feel bad. I feel very, 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 very bad. You know, it's just people in a base midrash. You know, some of them. I mean, most of them are going to get married. Almost all of them, I think. And I'm thinking to myself, like, on the one hand, I'm thinking like, well, probably the girls that they're marrying come from, so to speak, the same world. So it's like, what does anybody know, right? Nobody knows any better anyway. But on the other hand, I'm thinking to myself, these women need to be, like, every woman. I don't care who you are. I don't care if it's a woman that grew up Beis Yaakov, whatever. Women need to be. They have needs. You know what I'm saying? They have needs. And I'm looking at some of these guys and I'm thinking to myself, like, you know, it's just sad that all they're going to be doing is just doing what they're doing just for the sake of having kids. There's no other, maybe at least not that I know of, no other aspect to, you know, to the mitzvah, so to speak.
Listen, dude, I told you, City of Embers.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
No, I know. It goes back to that. I know. But the question is Ember, is City of Ember, that's what I'm saying, is that city sustainable? It's not. It's going to have to dismantle itself.
No, it's not. Remember, the City of Embers,
Yeah.
It was designed
to dismantle.
To begin dismantle.
So,
but we have some people who are like the mayor of the same, right? Who they don't want to, they just want to.
That's what I'm saying.
They can't imagine a different type of life, and they just want to.
They're holding on. They're holding on for dear life, and I'm just like, and it's funny because the rabbi that you're the one that you were close with. It seems to me that he understands that you just have to you can't hold on. I can tell. I look at him and I can tell that he knows that holding on is not going to be a good thing. It's going to do more harm than good.
Not in terms of, just to clarify for the folks at home.
Yeah.
Holding on, we're not talking about disconnecting from
No. I'm talking about culture.
Right, the culture that the culture itself has to adjust in some way. If like, because remember, the culture was designed to keep the Torah observance alive.
It was a reaction. It was a reaction to decimation.
Right. Now this same culture might be what will not allow the Torah laws to be observed. Like it'll cause instead, possibly, the people to go in the other direction.
Not possibly. It is.
Or to create a community that's so like, I don't know, like where the people themselves are so.
Yeah.
Better not to say.
Yeah, I know. No, listen, I know exactly what you mean. It was crazy actually. Rabbi Reuven Feinstein was doing Q&A after Kabbalat Shabbat. And the guy, somebody I guess asked the question. I don't know what the question even was, but I heard him answering, talking about Eretz Israel. And Rabbi Reuven said, listen, because someone asked him, like, he basically said, basically from what we understand, like, it's going to be time to leave soon. Or like, no, you have to be in Eretz Israel. They straight up asked him. And he said, listen, I don't know about that. All I know is, he said, like, you have to make sure that your passport is not expired.
So again,
And then I know. Oh, so listen to this. So like,
clarify the question. I think I know what you mean. But
no, like
clarify
they were
the
asking him
question.
about like moving to Israel and this. They were asking him about like what's going on in America, and he was saying how like within 20 years, because of all the crap the Democrats are doing, and it doesn't even matter if Trump comes back in. He goes, America's might become a dictatorship, right? So he goes, so they're like, so what do we do? He's like, well, most of the people, it's Eretz Israel. So like, so then this guy who I guess he's like one of his Gabayim, he's like, but how am I going? He goes, he worded it this way. He's like, how am I going to go into Gullus without my Rebbe? When he said Gullus, he meant Eretz Israel. He's like, how am I going to go into Gullus? And I'm standing there and I'm like, bruh, you in Gullus. You in Gullus here and you in Gullus there. So why are you saying go into Gullus? You're leaving Gullus to go into Gullus, slightly less Gullus. Still Gullus, but slightly less than where you are today. Staten Island.
People like to make dramatic statements, which
Yeah.
are silly.
I'm just like, and then he's like, and then the rabbi's trying to tell him, like, listen, man, not in these words, but he's trying to essentially tell him, like, listen, man, you're a man. Like, you need me to, like, go to Eretz Israel so that you go to Eretz Israel? As if there's no yeshivish people or yeshivish Americans in Eretz Israel? Try Ramat Bet Shemesh, try Sanhedria, try, there's, like, all these neighborhoods, like, where are populated by, people like us. Like them,
Yeah.
Like, you need me to go with you? You 55, 60-year-old man? Like, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
People get codependent, right?
it's just... I was standing there and I'm just like...
Listen, everybody has their Moshe Rabbeinu, right?
Yeah.
Like, to this man, Rebbe is like Moshe Rabbeinu. Like, people didn't want to, with all the complaining they did, they didn't want, they didn't want to live without Moshe.
Yeah. Dude, when I was just, it was crazy. I was standing there and I was just like, I can't believe I'm listening to this conversation.
I want to switch gears for a moment.
Yeah.
Because this is very, very different than what we're talking about, but I'm scared that I'm going to forget. There is a man, we've mentioned him several times.
Mm-hmm.
He is a Nazi man.
Okay.
His name was Werner von Braun.
Yes.
People want to say, oh, he wasn't a real Nazi.
Yeah.
Because he was forced into it.
Oh, he was a reformed Nazi.
No, he was, he was forced into it by the German, by the Nazi Party. Mm-hmm. Because he was a rocket scientist and, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Mm. But he was part of the SS, okay? His name was Werner von Braun. He came over to the United States, I guess connected to Project Paperclip, okay? And he became basically the de facto director of NASA, okay? So, probably not officially, but kind of like behind the scenes, he really was the guy in charge. Okay,
yeah.
He wasn't the only Nazi there. There was like tons of them, like some of the worst people.
Yeah.
But so anyway, he wrote a book. Okay, and what is the name of the book? Just a moment. Hang on. Yeah, it was. Hold on. Is it possible? 1 second. While it may not, sort of. A book was published that mentioned it was Mars. The name of the book was Mars Project, a technical tale, written by Werner von Braun. Okay, where he mentions in the book. Here's a quote from the book. The Martian government was directed by 10 men. The leader of whom was elected by universal suffrage for 5 years and entitled Elon.
The heck? So weird.
2 houses of parliament enacted the laws to be administered by the Elon and his cabinet. I'll read that again. The Martian government, this is, he's writing kind of like a science fiction book about how he envisions the mission to Mars, and then the Mars establishing the Martian, setup for the colony. Okay, again, so the Martian government was directed by 10 men, the leader of whom was elected by universal suffrage for 5 years. I don't know what that means, but it was entitled Elon. 2 houses of parliament enacted the laws to be administered by the Elon and his cabinet. So the Elon is the leader of this Martian, situation. And then, now, should I finish this, or can the folks at home piece this together themselves? Or Greg, maybe you would like to spell it out. Greg is asleep.
No, I'm not asleep. That basically he predicted. He predicted that Elon is going to be a guy named Elon.
Well, right. I would say more that this is kind of like something that would seem to be akin more to like a long, like a long game, plan.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Where they kind of, if you read all you got to do is read everything that these bastards have written.
Yeah.
And then you will know how the freaking. But I don't know if it's too late. You know what I mean?
With that said, this is related. Can I read to you something? Speaking of reading what people write.
Elon Musk, folks. He's obviously Elon is whose father was an engineer.
Yeah.
Okay, whose mother is a model, but if you see some of the pictures, she's doing all that Illuminati weird. She's wearing like weird headgear with freaking with horns and all this kind of crazy evil like crap. So Elon didn't come out of nowhere. Elon seems to be a legacy from these evil bastards.
Well, can I read to you something? It might be related. There's a guy on Facebook. He's like a pro-Israel Egyptian guy. He's not Jewish, he's Egyptian. Hussein Abu Bakr. I don't know if you heard this guy.
Yeah, sounds familiar.
He wrote a thing called Refutation of the Philosophers 2.0. Here he goes. There is no one today who makes considerable claims in the name of quote-unquote philosophy like Yuval Noah Harari. He is the break of dusk after the long night of superstition. He seems to be completely convinced he is a prophet for our age, a man bringing all of us the lamp of truth with which we can finally see the past and create the future. The mediocrity and unoriginality of this persona are wholly uninspiring, yet there is nevertheless another charlatan, another false prophet. Here it is, nevertheless, another charlatan, another false prophet. If Harari is to be thought of with any symbolic function that may explain his role in relation to our civilizational moment, it would be the chief oracle of the high temple of the technologist civilization. Harari brings no original ideas, but he is merely the one who made the ultimate applications to Western society's already established absolute way of thinking, technologist instrumentalism. In this established way of thinking, instrumental reason is the only available kind of reason to many in which every human activity, physical or mental, emotional or logical, economic or moral, is interpreted in terms of technical activity serving as a function. This is a modification of Hegel, in which technological progress assumes the place of the world spirit in moving through history. This absolutist way of thinking, a reworking of the Marxist ideas of ideology and historical materialism into positivist scientism that was already achieved decades ago, takes Marxism's aesthetic core and elevates it to its maximum. It denies all values and meanings of the past, including those of Marxism, and affirms total relativity. It explains every idea and belief system not in terms of validity or truth, but in terms of function. For such a philosophy, or more accurately, for such an anti-philosophy, explanation then substitutes justification. Things such as religion, law, nationality, love, family, etc. are just explained away. The explanation of their function amounts to a kind of debunking. Things disappear once their function is known. The primacy of technical analysis becomes supreme. The technique is all that matters. It should be clear by now to any reader that there is nothing original about this that Harari brought. This has been the function of the social sciences since Marx. Why is then Harari so widely read? Because he is the aggregate. He presents the Western societies with a concise formula of 200 years of their religious development. He took Marx, the social sciences, and the Frankfurt School and produced a summary account of human history, and he incorporated a postmodern critique of structure and narrative to produce a narrative of anti-narrative. Yet his postmodernism is subordinated to his technologism and instrumentalism. Nationalism is a fictitious story made to serve interest, but hey, we need it. The family, this is the way Harari talks, the family structure is just socially structured but serves important purposes. What the postmodernists saw as a source of despair, Harari sees as a technological opportunity. He is the postmodern modernist, a man interested in fiction as technology. He didn't modify Hegel, but he merely collected all the fragments of modifications achieved and presented them in speculative history. But he didn't only pull a Hegel, he is the man of technical excellence and condensation, so he also pulled a Marx. 2 in 1. After his Sapiens, the book Sapiens, he presented us with his Homo Deus. What Marxism did to Hegelianism, Harari was savvy enough to do himself to himself. He inverted his speculative history inside out to make it also a manifesto for the future. He even took what was speculative in Marxism, the critique of ideology, and turned it into an action plan, also not an original move. Naturally, for the profit of technology and function, his future New Jerusalem is in Silicon Valley, and he is very candid about it. This is why Harari is successful and widely read, not because he is original, not because he discovered anything new, and certainly not because he has anything that resembles a philosophy, but because he sells what has already been bought. He is merely the storyteller that tells you the full story that he knows you already believe. There is no God, there is no meaning, there are no values, it's all fiction, let's worship progress-making technology, etc., etc. His futurism is just a straight-out philosophy of reassurance, telling you we will have what you already want to have. Traditional Marxists were men of letters. The Soviets pretended to be people of culture, but Harari is merely providing an empiricist base for dogmatic Philistinism. It doesn't matter if most of his writings are actually unscientific and most of his prophecies are unprovable. Inevitably, Harari will go down in history as just like all the charlatans before him, a mediocre false prophet whose marketing success was only because he is selling the lies people had already decided to believe and a way of thinking in which everyone is already thoroughly trained. Don't most people you know already think an explanation of a function is a final answer to all questions? That explaining function is the road to immediate acceptance? This is exactly why modern people came to accept anti-Semitism and Islamism if they are ideational instruments that serve the function of social struggle for empowerment of the marginalized and equality to the oppressed. Then they are good. If Palestinian Jew hatred is merely an instrument for justice and that's its function, then it's good. Do you see where this leads? It's exactly the way of thinking affirmed by Harari that will open the gates of a new evil. Harari, a lazy thinker for lazy thinkers, is also the false prophet of false times. What he sells is neither science nor reason. It is a cheap parody of faith for those who lack the courage to look for a certain faith. If Marxists critique the ideological and metaphysical superstructure as conduits for class interest and projection of man's social conditions, they did so in terms of critique aiming to demystify and lead to the abandonment of such superstructures. When postmodernists critique all narratives and ideologies as the fictitious products of a process of repression aiming to serve an arbitrary will to dominance, they did so with the goal of liberation. What Harari did is that he combined both and then subordinated the synthesis to a true positivist spirit of the technology society, basically turning what Marxists considered ideology and what postmodernists considered fictitious construction into celebrated useful fiction, basically as technology that should be used. His true achievement is that he changed traditional leftist despair into joyful hope. Harari is, with no doubt, the most succinct and concise representation of the way of thinking of the technologist society, and he knows it, and this is why he thinks he is a prophet. Wow.
Well said. Who is this guy again?
Hussein Abu Bakr. He is...
That is not something I would expect to hear from somebody named Hussein Abu Bakr.
Well, he's a up-and-coming American...
It doesn't matter what his name is.
No. I'm reading his description.
We're truth fanatics, right?
Yeah, I'm reading description of him. His description of who he is: up-and-coming American, Egyptian, speaker, writer, contrarian, and educator. He's an extensive writer. He writes stuff. Very interesting.
It sounds like he's somebody that may not be terribly popular with some of his own.
Yep.
Countrymen. Am I off in saying that? Or?
Yeah. Somebody asked a question, so here's some comments. Interesting critique, but what specific claims of his do you consider unscientific? So he responds, his entire social science as well as everything about instrumental reasoning. There is not a single sociological or historical claim he makes that is scientific or empirical. This guy responds to him, I like you, man, so I will elaborate more. Let's take the concept of pedophilia, for example. This is the same guy responding. This concept, like any other normative concept, is socially constructed. As you and I know, the concept does not exist in several Muslim societies. One of the major achievements of modernism is exactly this point, discovering the historical nature of social normative concepts. Now, a postmodernist normally just deconstructs such concepts and shows you how they don't really represent an eternal truth or sacred, unchanging values, but are socially constructed during a certain historical moment with specific conditions. But the postmodernists will leave you there with deconstruction, but no construction whatsoever. Harari is different, as he takes what the deconstruction postmodernists produced, but adds a functionalist explanation to it. While the postmodernist is a Nietzschean who attributes the emergence of such concepts to arbitrary will to dominate, for example, how heteronormative sexuality is just made to oppress queer people, that's their explanation. Harari takes a neo-Marxist positivist turn and explains that such concepts are not arbitrary but serve important social functions. For example, the concept of pedophilia maintains social cohesion and psychological healthy development for children. That's what these idiots will tell you. For Harari, the explanation of the concept to understand that exists. For Harari, the explanation of function then exhausts the possibilities of justification. Whether there is any moral truth embedded in the concept of pedophilia is a question that Harari doesn't even let their readers know is there. He doesn't provide questions. He doesn't provide a sense of wonder. And he provides answers just like populist religion does. Say if we can change the social structure, we can eliminate the concept of pedophilia, if we can use different social technology to achieve its function. Harari's logic would say yes, because for Harari, function is both a mean and an end. If you want to believe all of this, fine by me. But to pretend that this is science, or that it is original in any way, is straight out deception. Trust your ex-Salafist brother. He is a charlatan.
This guy was the author is an ex-Salafist?
Yeah, he's a Salafist. Trust me, like I'm a Salafist, this guy's the Harari is a charlatan. Moreover, then he continues, the instrumentalist way of thinking is of course already established and reigns supreme. Harari neither invented nor justified nor explained it. He is not convincing his readers, most of whom already think this way, of anything but giving them a wide account of what they already believe. It is exactly this way of thinking that we run against when we try to explain Westerners the ideological problems of Islam. We cannot get to them because they strongly believe that it is all about function. If a jihadist bombed himself, their only question is what function does the act serve? As you know, many leftists would consider the function as resistance to oppression or protest over marginalization. And as I said earlier, explanation is justification in such a way of thinking. The insistence that ideas and belief matter independently of function suggests that there might be such a thing as meaning, an idea in which they are strongly opposed. To which they are strongly opposed. There is no meaning to be sought. There's no value to be understood or misunderstood. It's all function. You know better. This guy responds to him, I agree with everything you have explained here, and furthermore, I've often been confused by the certain contradictions that I noticed in Harari before. just didn't have sufficient background in philosophy to completely explain it. What I did notice is that how he dismisses all stories that humans make as a mere product of our evolution that hold no ethical value whatsoever, but then in the same book he goes on to make various claims of his own, how we are a threat to our planet and the danger of nuclear war. Well, if everything that human beings think, including the concept of human rights, as a social construction without any moral values embedded within it, why is nuclear war a bad thing then? That is the same logical contradiction that you notice in many postmodernist thinkers who also simultaneously tend to reject all meta-narratives, but who still think claims about hierarchies are being bad. Bad according to whom? Hasn't that idea originated from a meta-narrative which you have just rejected? However, saying that no claim that he makes with regards to history and sociology and scientific is stretching a bit, I think. As far as I know, the claim that our ability to cooperate is what has made us superior to all other animals on this planet actually is actually a scientifically sound claim. His other claim that morality does change over time is also historically observable. Where I differ from him there is saying that just because something changes over time, it automatically implies nihilistic relativism. I don't believe that to be the case at all. I make a distinction between something I call absolute versus objective morality, but that is something I will elaborate another time. For even deeper puzzling inconsistency, Harari cites Hebrew U Professor Leibowitz as a mentor. Leibowitz, among many other pursuits and disciplines, was renowned for his standing room only lectures on Darwinian-based evolution under the flag of multidisciplinary studies at Ramat Gan Basic Science Campus. This woman responded, not sure why Leibowitz was wearing a kippah. He was admired by many secular Israelis for his supposedly liberal opinions and excluded by religious leaders. He is not a typical Jewish thinker. That's the only reason Harari may have quoted him. Leibowitz's opinion on gays was against halacha, so it's expected Harari would like him. It's interesting. He is awful, and his book on Homo sapiens, or just Sapiens, was unimpressive and even anti-Semitic at a few points. He is a peon of World Economic Forum, nothing more. The LGBTQ agenda, Harari is gay, while ostensibly branded as a grassroots movement to promote minority rights.
Dude, he's the listen. He's a living, propaganda mascot.
Yeah.
And fall guy.
Yeah.
That's his service.
Yeah.
He's.
Yeah.
This is again like developmentally disabled, autism abuse.
Somebody asked the question, have you ever read Sapiens? I find his conceptual revolution a Kunzian paradigm shift. And this guy responded, it's garbage.
I usually my opinion of Harari is based entirely on my analysis of his interviews.
Yeah.
The things that he says, the way that he looks, the tone of his voice, his body language. That's how I learn. I trust my instincts when I see something really off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not gonna feel bad for not reading, just because everybody read.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's very widely read. I'm sure.
My sister read it, and here's the problem. It's kind of like it's what I wrote before. It's kind of like, imagine you're in 1925, and you read Mein Kampf, and then you come to your friends and family and try to warn people about this guy called Hitler in 1926, 27, and they say, "Oh, I read that book. It's retarded. This guy's not going to do anything. You're giving him too much power. It's a retarded book. He's got crazy ideas. He wants to kill all 18 million Jews. It's retarded." So, dude, like my sister told me, she's like, "Yeah, I read Sapiens. It's like half-baked, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, and you saw what I wrote the other day. I'm like, just because it's half-baked doesn't mean you shouldn't listen to him. The guy intends, or whoever he's mentoring, or whoever he's, these people intend to do this crazy shiznit. It is retarded. You're right. And its retardation can lead to insanity. It can lead to catastrophe and murder and mass has v'shalom,
Yeah, and a lot of times
that's the
the crazier the ideas,
Yeah.
The more dramatic they are. What I mean to say.
And the better chance they'll be carried out by some psycho.
Right. The more excitement they will generate because they're, even if they're absolutely idiotic, but at a certain time, like they can catch because there's something emotional about them.
Yeah, and some psycho will catch it, latch onto it, and a bunch of people will go along, and there you go. That's what, I can I read to you what I wrote? I think I read this already, the whole thing about me warning people, and if I warned people back then, it would call conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, people, you could read it, but I just wanted to say that, Schrankly Crankly has a huge, apparently, it's a huge, has something to it. There's something to Schrankly
Dude,
Crankly.
before Schrankly Crank, there's a crazy book that Schrankly Crank writes that everybody dismisses as like a crazy book.
Yeah.
And the Schrankly Crank is later. That's already later when Schrankly Crank has 40... Yeah.
The book introduces Schrankly Crank.
Yeah. But then Schrankly Crank happens audibly when there's, Schrankly Crank has 44% of the parliament.
Well, the book, you see, as retarded as it is, there's a genius to it. Because I read Schrankly Crank. I read mine.
Yeah.
It manipulates the archetypes brilliantly.
Yeah.
So the ideas are insane.
Yeah.
But its ability to utilize the archetypes in order to communicate those insane ideas are fantastical. They're amazing.
It's the reason.
I think that's probably I wouldn't be shocked if that's what Noah Harari does.
Dude, his book is a bestseller. It's a pile of crap, but it's a bestseller. I mean,
is it really a bestseller, or is it kind of like one of those like fake wag the dog things where they say it's a bestseller,
it could have
been,
yeah.
and then it becomes a bestseller because I want to make sure I'm.
Like, I want to make sure I'm in the Manhattan Night Party. Yeah. Here, Sapiens.
That's why I don't want to read it.
Dude, it has a. See, people say like nobody's people still reading this book. It has a freaking 4.5 rating from readers on Amazon. From readers, not from Amazon. From people who read it.
It's 4.5. What's the highest rating?
Stars 5. Same thing with Homo Deus, Brief History of Tomorrow. Sapiens.
I don't know. I have listened extensively to Noah Harari's in terms of his him speaking in person. Not in person, his whatever his interviews and stuff like that. Yeah. And, I mean, I think I've seen enough. Like I don't think I actually have to read his rantings.
No, you don't.
It's like that movie Seven.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. With Kevin Spacey, right? Yeah. Right. So apparently, like at the end, they found that he wrote he said that it'll take like 12 years to read all of his crazy rantings and like he wrote so much. It's like libraries. He just wrote libraries of like journals and stuff like that. Yeah. And it would take like a decade to. I have priorities. I don't need to spend my life reading this idiot.
Yeah.
The few things that he's already communicated is bad enough. I get the drift.
Yeah.
And it's not even him. Again, you see, even this Abu Bakr guy. That's just such a crazy thing to say. Even this Abu Bakr, dude. It's just, it's amazing. And it's not, it really shouldn't be surprising.
Yeah.
Abu Bakr, he said that, he's just reinforcing what everybody else already thinks, right? That's what I was saying. That if Klaus Schwab didn't have Noah Harari, would he be doing anything different? No, of course not. He'd be doing exactly the same thing. So why do we need Yuval? Again, why do we need Yuval Noah Harari? Why? Because he's playing the role of the Jew fall guy.
Can I read to you some of his quotes from his book? Like just 5 quotes from some of his books. From one of his books.
Have at it.
This is the paradox of historical knowledge. Knowledge that does not change behavior is useless. But knowledge that changes behavior quickly loses its relevance. The more data we have and the better we understand history, the faster history alters its course, and the faster our knowledge becomes outdated. Next quote. For the first time in history, more people die today from eating too much than from eating too little. More people die from old age than from infectious diseases. And more people commit suicide than are killed by soldiers, terrorists, and criminals combined. Okay, it's a factual statement. The most common reaction of the human mind is to achievement. Mind to achievement is not satisfaction, but craving for more. Yet in fact, modernity is a surprisingly simple deal. The entire contract can be summarized in a single phrase. Humans agree to give up meaning in exchange for power. In most cases, this overreaction to terrorism poses a far greater threat to our security than the terrorists themselves. It's about Israel, how we raise their
Yeah, sure.
homes. Pidaras. Literally, he's like, it's like, there's a joke in Russian. Somebody comes up, he's like, ты знаешь, он пидорас. And they say, в хорошем смысле или плохом?
Right.
The guy's a fag. What, in the good way, in the bad, or in the bad way?
Right. The joke is there a good way? Right.
Yeah, no, meaning the good way is that he's just gay. The bad way is that he's like a scumbag.
Right.
It had nothing to do with gay. Like, we use the word, colloquially in Russian, use pidaras, nothing to do with homosexual.
That's how fag is used. Like, nobody really, like, if there's a gay guy who's still a good guy, and he doesn't act like a fag, he's okay.
Yeah.
Right? But you have friends
you have South Park.
who are not gay who act like fags.
Yeah, you have South Park. They had a whole thing about, hey, come on, cat, don't be a fag. Don't be a fag, cat. It's enough you're a Jew, don't be a fag. Like, whatever, like.
Bad enough you're a Jew, don't be a fag.
Dude, he's like, what was it? Stan called himself, he said, I think I'm Jewish, and then he's like, what was it, Kyle? No, Kyle says, like, but I'm Jewish. Like, he wouldn't believe, it was a thing, Cartman wouldn't believe him, that he's Jewish. So Kyle's like, no, but I'm Jewish. And Cartman's like, come on, Kyle, don't be so hard on yourself, Kyle. don't be so hard on yourself, Kyle. Don't be so hard on yourself. But I'm Jewish, Cartman. Don't be so hard on yourself, Kyle. Don't whip it.
That's hilarious.
See, we think that's funny.
Of course that's funny. How's that? Dude, if you don't think that's funny, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, I know. I think that's funny. I'm
just saying.
Yeah.
Not you. I mean, like, whoever it is out there. You don't have... There's something wrong. Like, first of all, look. Anything like racism in general, like actual racism. Mm-hmm. What is it? Let's define it for a moment, okay? Yeah. This is what I always assumed. Like, I don't care if the dictionary has something different listed than the following.
Yeah.
If you think that you're better than someone because of your skin color.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Then you are a racist.
Yeah.
End of story. Okay? But in terms of culture, right? If you think your culture is better than somebody else's culture, that's legitimate.
Yeah. But you can call that cultural chauvinism, right?
Call that cultural chauvinism. Call it whatever you want. You're allowed to have opinions.
Yeah.
Okay? Even if you're wrong, you're still allowed to have it. Right?
But here's my question. Didn't Schmidt... Here's a devil's advocate question. Didn't Schmittler think that his culture was better than German culture was better than ours?
And that's fine. That's not his crime.
Okay.
His crime is saying that because I think my culture is better, I think you should die.
So here's again devil's advocate question from the stupid leftists. How do we guarantee that the person who runs around saying that their culture is better is not going to try to kill?
You can't guarantee that.
The people whose culture is saying, like
no
what's his name, Gavin? How do we guarantee like a Gavin McInnes who runs around saying that doesn't say I want to kill people, but may decide one day I want to kill them?
Anybody might decide that, right? Leftists, they do that more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Okay? So the only way to guarantee that he's not successful
get a
is
gun.
by not being such a fag.
And not be a fag and get a gun. Get guns.
Get a gun, get a knife, get a sword, whatever the armament is of your time.
Yeah.
Accept reality for what it is, because God hasn't come yet, and to reveal Himself, and thus evil and all this horrible stuff can still occur. Okay.
Yep.
So accept reality for what it is, that it's dangerous, that no one is going to protect you. Okay. And there's no way, there's no like large scale governmental response to this. There's individuals with common sense responses.
Yeah.
As always.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how you guarantee it. You protect yourself. If you have a group of individuals who all understand this, okay, then there's no chance that a Hitler could succeed.
Yeah.
He wouldn't even try. Well, look, he even disarmed the Jews.
Yeah.
There's a couple of Jews who had a couple of rifles. They were so scared. They're such pussies that they had to disarm a couple of Jews with rifles in Germany.
Yeah.
Why? If you're so mighty and everything like that, right? No, like a couple of Jews with a couple of rusty pistols gave them a lot of trouble, right? In the Warsaw Uprising, right?
Yeah. That's
why. They smuggled in a couple of rusty, barely functioning revolvers, and they gave them such hell.
Yeah.
Okay? Can you imagine like a population that's actually like armed, like normal?
Yeah.
Do you understand? Like that's why you got to be armed, not because you're a gun-toting lunatic. It's because yes, they really are trying to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
There's somebody there. If it's not Hitler trying to kill the Jews, then it's some Hubbard who's trying to kill some other type of people.
Yeah.
There's always some group of weirdos that want some. There's always a group of
that think that there's too many humans on Earth.
That think that there's too many of these type of people.
Yeah.
Whoever that, fill in the blank as you will.
Yeah. Or just now, today, it's just too many. Period. Too many humans. Stop.
Folks, the only way to live, ironically, until Mashiach comes, this is why we need Mashiach so bad. This is why God needs to come and intervene.
Yeah.
Because the best case scenario is a Mexican standoff.
Yeah.
That's the only way not to kill everybody. Yeah. Everybody has to be pointing guns at each other.
What a racist statement that was in and of itself. Why's it got to be Mexican, huh? Why can't it be a Chinese? Why can't it be a Chinese? Why can't it be a white?
I'm giving Mexicans the credit for the way to create world peace.
But why do Mexicans have the stand?
I think it's racist
have to be the violent ones.
That a Mexican can't come up with the idea on how to make world peace.
Well,
I think Mexican wisdom can save us all.
Well, you're just saying that that's the way to lead to world peace by having a standoff. Why are Mexicans need to have a standoff? Why do you have to put Mexicans in a position to be shooting each other and to die? Why can't you put white men?
You don't understand what a Mexican standoff is.
I know what it is. I know what that is. It's a style of a standoff. It's got nothing to do with Mexicans. Yes.
It's like basically you got like 3 or 4 people.
Yes.
Right. And they're all holding guns at each other.
Correct. I know.
Mutually assured destruction.
Correct. I know.
Okay? That's the way to keep the peace until, and that's the temporary measures. That's the city of Ember situation until God shows up. There's no such thing as not a Mexican standoff without God revealed in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
So God, please show up already.
Yep.
And day by day it goes on and nothing gets better. Or fine, Rabbi, I hear Rabbi Manis Friedman saying the world's getting better all the time. Yeah. People are getting better. Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about, God. I want to see it. I want to see you. I want to see you in the world. I want to see how this world is. You created this beautiful world. Show us already. Show us how it's done. Show us what you wanted to show us.
I told this rabbi today, the young rabbi today, the Kiruv guy, so I was like, more or less what you just said. Oh, I told him that I have a friend who was sitting in Pesach. I have 2 friends, actually, not just you, another guy, same thing. Waiting and nothing happened, And this rabbi had nothing to say to me.
Why would he have anything to say to you? It's unfair to even ask him.
But I didn't ask him.
He's a victim like the rest of
No,
us.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I didn't ask him. I shared it with him because I know also that he felt this way, that he just doesn't go around saying it. But I for sure know that he felt this way as well. This is what I don't understand. Like, what pisses me off is not that they're not answering the question, it's that they're not saying the statement like we are.
Well, there's a reason why.
Why?
Because they fear, which probably is a fair
That it's
assessment.
real?
No. That by saying it, it'll create the situation where people just decide, they have the childish response to just say abandon it, abandon Torah and mitzvahs.
Yeah.
That's what they're scared of.
Sure.
So that's obviously not the answer, but they feel that that's how people react.
They're afraid that
right.
they're afraid that their own emunah maybe or bitachon is not strong enough to where if they or to other people to keep repeating that, oh, Mashiach's not here, they're just gonna be like, the hell with all this stuff.
Right. I think intuitively, I know, and these rabbis know that that's not the answer.
Yeah.
That Mashiach will come.
Yeah.
It is gonna happen. It's just that the fact that it hasn't happened already is so insane. It's so harsh.
Yeah, it's absurd. It's mamish absurd. Another question is, like, Rabbi Anava keeps talking about how, like, there's going to be 7 years of difficulty. The question is, are we in the last year of the 7 years, or did we just get started with the 7 years?
And also, 7 years of difficulty. When did the difficulty...
That's what I said.
When was there not a difficulty?
No, but, like, really, like, ramped up. That's what he's talking about. Like, he was talking about,
what does that mean?
I don't know. It could began, I don't know, in 2020 election. It began when,
You shouldn't have said that. It's such a vague, unnecessary statement.
It's an empty statement to make. Almost empty. I don't know. Infuriating. What else?
Honestly, man.
Anyway,
dude, we gotta get Rabbi Weisberg on.
We should. And then
why do you keep saying that, and why do you keep never doing it?
I'm not never doing it. I'm trying to get my partner to get him, and my partner is...
All right. You know what? I'm going to contact him myself.
Yeah. Do it.
If you want something done right, do it yourself.
That's right. No, you're absolutely right. I'm a total incompetent when it comes to this. Like, really.
Dude, you're going to be a great husband.
That's right.
No, that's exactly how we're taught, He says, your father, what was it Bill Cosby said?
Yeah.
Your father is a genius. He's a genius. Mm-hmm. Why? Because he knows how to get out of anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like your mother will ask your father, like, could you please go do this? And he'll say, all right, fine. And then it goes, where's the thing? Is that how you do it? Right? And she goes, oh, just get out of here. Right? Your father is a genius.
It's hilarious.
So you're a genius.
Yes.
In the same way.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know you were a genius, Greg.
Thank you.
Had I known you were a genius, we could have probably gotten them a little bit earlier.
Now you know, and knowing is half the battle.
It's half the battle.
G.I. Joe. All right.
What is this? What is this? You sent me something. What is this? Times of Israel, alien hunting scientists.
Oh yeah.
Controversial.
Oh yeah. Apparently, they're trying. SETI is going to use a more powerful, some kind of machine, to tap into contacting these guys. And then apparently Stephen Hawking at the time, while he was still alive, said that there's a danger to doing that because you may just give away, so to speak, our position in the universe, and contact, I don't know, hostile, I guess we can call them shedim, but he didn't use that word, and they might just destroy us. Like, basically the ones you end up contacting might be not friendly and might just destroy us. See, there's a danger in doing that. And there's another argument against Hawking, saying these guys know where we are anyway, so what's the difference?
It would seem that these guys are idiots.
Who? Hawking?
SETI.
Oh, yeah.
Hawking, it's hard to say because who knows whether or not his statements were really from him in the latest years. You know, he could barely communicate, and we were relying on his quote unquote handlers to tell us what he was saying.
No, he had that machine. They talked to those facilitation machines.
It takes 17,000 hours for him to communicate. Turn on the TV.
Yeah.
Okay, so. No, I mean I'm not laughing. It really was. It's really.
Yeah.
It was very tragic and very difficult for him to communicate. So some of these statements, it seems a little unlikely that he actually made them. Okay, I think they might have been possibly interpreted. You know, like he's saying, like I'm hungry. You know, turned into there is no God. You know, that kind of thing by his handlers or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, so these guys are idiots because they have to be completely ignoring everything that, let's say, the Navy has been saying for the past 5 years.
Yeah.
Our Navy pilots, people encountering these things, right? Like you have to be like blind. You have to be purposely blind. Okay, or they're just hucksters, meaning SETI. Because they get millions, tens of millions of dollars to do this every year. It's basically an industry. They got jobs, right? So of course they're going to ignore all the evidence that we are being visited, right?
Yeah.
Of course they're going to ignore it. Because if you don't ignore it, that means you have to admit that what you're doing is stupid and redundant and unnecessary because it's here. You don't have to go, looking for signals coming from star systems from long dead civilizations.
Yeah.
Because it takes 7,000 years to get here.
Yeah.
What makes you think they're still here?
Yeah.
You're listening to an old radio broadcast from an alien civilization. You're listening to "I Love Lucy" from Andromeda.
That's like exactly what they said on the article. Yeah.
So how is that even helpful? Oh, look, that means there was a civilization 7,000 years ago.
It's
great.
It's about as plausible as Yuval Noah Harari, but equally as damaging. Let's put it that way.
It's like it's like the Democrats.
Yeah.
In some ways, just to keep throwing money at garbage.
Yeah.
Caca.
Yeah.
To create jobs.
Mr. Caca.
And just to keep a lie going.
Good job, Mr. Caca.
Oh no, we can't go because I'm Mr. Caca. That's George Lopez.
Yes.
Another idiot, but funny. This is funny.
Yeah. Anyway, sir, it's 3:00 in the morning.
I mean, is it really? It's 2:59.
Is it really? It's 3.5 hours into this episode.
Is it?
Yeah.
Do you think we had any content on this one?
I think I just had about enough of you. No, I'm just kidding.
This is always a little true.
This is episode.
You may have actually had enough.
It's 3:00 in the morning, and it's episode 3. 3 and 3. 33.
Nice. Yeah. This episode felt a little dry, right?
And
how do you feel?
And it's been 3 hours and 33 minutes. Oh yeah.
3 hours and 33 minutes of really?
Yeah, the length of this episode. It hasn't been dry. It's just been there's some stuff that's intense, but it hasn't been dry. Not at all.
I think it has. I think it has to do with the time. We've been doing this at absurdly late hours.
It's late hours. It's also Rosh Chodesh. It's May 1st. I don't know what relevance that holds, but whatever.
May 1st.
Yeah, it's the socialist Pierre Vermeer.
Gosh.
Socialist holiday. Socialist Yontif. I remember as a kid in Lvov going to the May Day parade with balloons. That's all I remember. 1st of May parade with balloons. What do you think?
Those balloons are purely functional, Greg.
Yes.
Purely functional.
Yes.
There's no meaning whatsoever. It's just function.
Yep. You're absolutely right.
All right. All right, man. Arrivederci.
All right,
Arrivederci.
sir.
Nuclear. Arrivederci.
Nuclear, exactly. We shall converse
All right, sir.
B'ezrat
We shall
Hashem.
commence maybe tomorrow.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, Laila Tov.
Bye.